Will shut down today as staff push for the early education sector to be reformed. Some centres will close for the entire day. Others will shut early so workers can attend a rally on the steps of Parliament House at 3 p.m. The union's Helen Gibbons says they're calling for three things.
The first is pay us what we're worth and give us a reason to stay working in the sector. The second one is to value us in the same way that we value schools. We are an education sector. And the third one is to put children before profit.
Pensioners will be offered financial incentives to downsize in a bid to free up housing stock. The pension will not be affected for 2 years after they've sold their home, giving people an extra 12 months to find a new property. The deeming rate will also be slashed to 0.25%, down from 2.25%. Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth says it'll help address the housing crisis.
These two initiatives together will make it more attractive for pensioners to look at selling their principal home, especially when it may get too big for them, to downsize into something smaller.
Britain's new Prime Minister Liz Truss has made her first address as leader, promising to get hands-on with the country's energy crisis. More from Tracy Vaux in London.
Rain threatened to force Britain's new Prime Minister's first address to be moved inside. However, Liz Truss was able to hold her speech outside Number 10. She outlined three key priorities to tackle, including the country's growing energy crisis, with a package to be announced later this week. Earlier in the day, Liz Truss flew to Balmoral, where she was asked to form a government by the Queen. During a brief meeting, photos showing Her Majesty smiling and shaking hands. UK's 56th Prime Minister and its third female leader get straight to work at a time she's described as vital for the country.
Former lead singer of the Seekers, Judith Durham, has been remembered at a state memorial service in Melbourne. More than 2,000 people gathered to commemorate the music icon who died last month at the age of 79. Her nephew Tony Sheehan spoke on behalf of the family, saying she leaves behind a huge legacy.
Perhaps so what will stay with us above all is Judith's generosity and optimism. Always lots of that. And Judith faced death as she faced everything, with calm and strength.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Isla Tomljanovic is in trouble in her quarterfinal clash against Ons Jabeur in their quarterfinal match at the US Open. Jabeur won the first set 6-4. She did have a break of serve, but Tomljanovic has just that minute broken back. It's now 3-3 in the second set. Nick Kyrgios will be in action later this morning when he takes on Karen Khachanov in their quarterfinal. Meantime, Casper Ruud is the first player into the semis. Craig Gabriel reports.
It's been a huge year at some of the majors for Casper Ruud, the greatest player to ever come from Norway. He's clearly outstripped any results his father Christian had as a professional player. Casper made the French Open final and now he's into the US Open semis by beating Matteo Berrettini quite handily. He was up 6-1, 5-1 when the Italian had a bit of a recovery before Ruud won 6-1, 6-4, 7-6. He'll play either Nick Kyrgios or Karen Khachanov.
Let's go to football, and Port Adelaide is keeping busy with the trade period looming. They're chasing the services of Junior Rioli and Josh Dunkley, but it's also understood they're keen on getting Geelong forward Francis Evans. The Crows are concentrating their efforts on Gold Coast small forward Isaac Rankin. To soccer, the Matildas have gone down 2-1 in their friendly against Canada in Sydney overnight, and it's late in European Champions League action. There's about 15 minutes to play with Ange Postecoglou's Celtic 2-0 down against Real Madrid. Manchester City is 3-0 up against Sevilla, while earlier Chelsea lost 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm today, a high of 19. Showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 16. Then an early shower or two for Saturday, 16. At the moment, 15. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. Welcome to Wet Wednesday. Wasn't yesterday a magnificent day? Today, Well, perhaps the less said, the better. It's going to be fairly wet, though not as wet as originally forecast. We'll get into that with the Bureau in about 40 minutes' time. Over the course of the morning, we'll go round the courts with Sean Fuster today. We'll speak with the surprise Lord Mayor candidate, Jane Lomax-Smith, Lord Mayor from the 90s that you might recall throwing her hat back in the ring. We'll be chatting with her after 8 o'clock today. And also, Vincent McAviney, our man in London, to talk us through the last 24 hours with the UK having a new Prime Minister in Liz Truss. It's official. Boris Johnson has departed. He's departed with some very classic Bojo sorts of sound bites that you will be hearing over the course of the morning, but we'll talk about the ramifications of all that with Vincent before 7 o'clock. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. I just noticed a excellent headline on Sky News in the background. Claims New South Wales Labor MP drunk at Parliament bar. That is the least remarkable headline I've ever read. Given my experience of the bear pit, it was more like you'd scream out, hold the front page if one of them was sober.
I don't want to sound like a wowser, but why is there bars at Parliament? We don't have the FIVEAA bar.
That is an excellent question.
They all have them.
Historically.
They all have them.
Historically, it's because it was an all-male place, and it was also a place away from home for a lot of MPs. Parliament was a time to get together and socialise, particularly for country MPs. There's a place in Martin Place called the Commercial Travellers, which is a cheap and cheerful, bizarre-shaped building. It's a sort of motel, a real 1960s-style motel, smack bang in the middle of the most expensive strip of commercial real estate in Australia. And all the Nats used to say, I'm staying at the commercials. And you'd see these blokes just, this is like at the turn of the century. This isn't like the 18th, 19th century. This is like the, 20 years ago. There's a fantastic bloke called Peter Black, who used to be the mayor of Broken Hill, who was just, he's the world's nicest bloke. He's a former school teacher. Blackie, everyone called him Blackie. But he could just drink a pub dry, that bloke. And one day I remember he famously knocked himself out. He had no idea how, because he arrived at Parliament wearing like a gigantic plaster cast on his head, looked like half an eggshell. And because I'd become mates with him, I just went round to his office straight after question time and rang work and said, can you get a photographer to come and meet me? I'm just going to go and talk to Blackie. And I went in there, I was sitting in there, and then one of the Premier's media minders came charging in. They worked out that I was in there with the photographer. And they said, are you talking to Peter, are you, Dave? And I went, yeah, it's all done, don't worry, I've got this one sorted out. And they're going, did you take any photographs? I'm like, yeah, all in the can, thanks. But, Sydney's always been the most unruly part of Australia, which is part of its charm, I think. As an Adelaide person living there, I used to just sit back going, is all of this stuff really happening?
But could you imagine if they said, there's another incident where a nurse has gotten drunk in the Royal Adelaide Hospital bar? You go, well, I reckon that's problematic. Or the staff room bar at, your local high school.
To your point, if we came on air, clearly drunk, blithering, because we've been at there's no FIVEAA bar.
But look, it's not telling tales out of school to say, in fact, it is a similarly obvious thing to people who've reported on it, but I suspect fewer among those that have just observed it from afar, that there are pieces of legislation that are routinely voted on by people who have spent half the day drinking.
Yeah, and they involve things like how much tax you pay. They involve the education that you get. They involve the quality of care you get in the public hospital system. It's not like there's nothing of import happening inside of Parliament, is there?
It staggers me.
And on a much more sinister side, the level of sexual harassment that has now been identified across the entire country by several reports. We saw what happened here after the Sam DeLuc business with that report that was commissioned. Some of the conduct by staffers in particular. We've seen it at the federal level. At the New South Wales, there was a stunning report only a couple of weeks ago, and so much of that is driven by alcohol. It's just a good thing there's not a bar at the Adelaide City Council, because who knows what might happen there.
They haven't made their own fun without the need for alcohol, I think. My word.
Can I just ask now? viewers of the live stream, you never wear a collared shirt. Why are you wearing a collared shirt today?
I'm running out of T-shirts.
They just haven't done any washing.
Well, no, we've got to go film a video in an electric car after this today.
Oh. I'm wearing a...
It's a band T-shirt, isn't it?
No, it's just a picture of a sunset. But I'm accidentally wearing my gardening flanny. I got it out of the cupboard in the dark, and I didn't realise... This shirt is so bad.
I think we're being taken for a spin in an electric car, and it's going to be videotaped.
Right. I forgot it was Wednesday.
I don't know if I've been in a full electric before.
The dogs have eaten the button off this shirt.
No, that gives it a certain look. That gives it character, I think.
Bloody dogs. Well, that's going to look nice in the video, isn't it? Maybe you can stand in front of me.
I don't know how it's going to be set up. Well,
all I'll say is you get what you pay for.
Yeah, this is a freebie, is it?
Yeah.
12 after 6, 8223 0000 is that number. You can text us on the Automasters text. So I've got news headlines coming up for you in just a moment.
This is a song for the unsung heroes, the ones punching well above their weight. Like the person who smiles at the checkout while your kids try to wreck the place. But there's an unsung hero more delicious who keeps our families fed and happy when it's cooked. This is a song for that unsung hero, Steggles, Australia's favourite chook.
The passing of someone close places unique stress on family and friends. At this time, Farrell and O'Neill Funerals are here to provide reassurance and peace of mind. Farrell and O'Neill offer creative guidance and advice to tailor a service that best honours your loved one. Whether a large gathering or a small, intimate service, Farrell and O'Neill share their generations of experience in tailoring a unique and meaningful farewell. Proudly SA family-owned and operated, because it's personal.
First day of my new business, insured by QBE. Cue the lights. Cue the first customers.
Hello.
Cue the morning rush. Cue the unavoidable. Cue the call to QBE.
Hi, Sari.
Cue the quick response.
We'll get that sorted for you.
QBE Insurance on cue for thousands of small businesses before and after. Search QBE SME or talk to your broker today.
See qbe.com/au for eligibility, the PDS and the TMD to decide if this product is right for you. The product issuer is QBE Insurance Australia Limited.
Do you still love your car? Why not take it to Edwardstown Mazda to see what it's really worth? It's the safest and easiest way to move your car on and get into a new or used Mazda. 862 South Road, Edwardstown.
At Anderson's Solicitors, we have a brand new look. But behind it, we're still the same faces. The same approachable, client-focused team, committed to helping find the right solution for you. With locations across the state, whether you need help with family law, commercial law, wills and estates, or personal injury claims, talk to Anderson's Solicitors today. Visit andersons.com.au or phone 8238 6666. That's 8238 6666.
Taking care of your hearing health is so important, and it's that much easier with Audica. If you're over 26, get a free hearing check at one of the 350 clinics throughout Australia. Ask our expert team about 2-week free trials of high-quality hearing devices. There's value for every ear, from fully government subsidised devices or up to 20% off on selected models. T's and C's apply. Conditions apply under the Australian Government Hearing Services Program. Visit audica.com.au.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Sixteen minutes after 6, let's jump into the news headlines on this, the 7th of September. Court today for a man charged with the murder of a woman at Parkholme. Louise Hughes was found collapsed and unresponsive at Condata Avenue just before 5 yesterday. Despite attempts to revive the 51-year-old, she died at the scene. A 33-year-old man was arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. Police say the pair were known to each other but were not in a relationship. SA childcare workers are expected to walk off the job today as part of a nationwide strike. Hundreds of workers will gather on the steps of Parliament House from 3 p.m. Hillbank Community Centre Director Rebecca Stiles says they're calling for better pay and working conditions.
We've been fighting for so long for this. We've been historically undervalued. We're calling for them to put more funding into childcare, into the actual centres, and pay us what we're worth.
The union is asking parents to support the strike, insisting it's about improving care for their kids.
They are among the lowest paid workers in the country. They haven't had a pay rise for a very long time, so it's hard to argue financially that people working in childcare don't deserve more dough.
There is a lot of these at the moment. It feels like the rubber's hit the road when it comes to people recognising that wages just haven't kept pace with the cost of living, but moreover, haven't kept pace with things like company profits.
Oh, yeah. And yet again, we saw it yesterday. For the life of me, why isn't this a bigger story, the utter ineptitude of the Reserve Bank?
Oh, it should be.
These guys are klutzes. Like, was it 5 in a row? 6 in a row?
5 in a row for the first time ever.
It wasn't going to happen at all.
For 2 years. Now, borrow away, they said.
Yeah, go your hardest. Never been a better time to borrow money. And we're barely halfway into the year.
They've said more on the way.
So give everyone a pay rise. That's my reckless financial position.
Well, speaking of which, the housing industry is warning the Reserve Bank not to overshoot on interest rate rises. There are concerns the effects of this year's 5 rate increases will take longer to show in the industry than usual, with a slowdown expected in 12 months rather than 6. The official cash rate has increased by another 0.5% to 2.35%. Pensioners will be offered financial incentives to downsize in an effort to free up housing stock. The pension will not be affected for 2 years after they've sold their home, giving people an extra 12 months to find a new property. The deeming rate will also be slashed to 0.25%, down from 2.25%. The Social Services Minister, Amanda Rishworth, says legislation will help address Australia's housing crisis.
More than 8,000 pensioners downsized last year, and so we hope that number will significantly increase as a result of this legislation.
Legislation will be introduced in federal parliament to slash the price of prescription medicines by 30%. The maximum cost of a drug listed on the pharmaceutical benefits scheme will drop to $30 per script. The new price will come into effect from the 1st of January next year.
That's a good saving.
That'll be a welcome relief for a hell of a lot of people.
Absolutely. That sort of cost of living stuff at the moment, people will be absolutely thrilled.
Have you ever seen what the cost of some of these medicines are in the absence of the pharmaceutical benefits
Well,
scheme?
the best recent example was with the antivirals for COVID.
Absolutely.
Because if you were like a 32-year-old man about town who thought, I'd like to soldier on even though I've got the Rona, wasn't it like, it was at least $1,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're often in that sort of range. They beggars belief.
I mean, imagine how much good wine you could buy instead with that kind of money.
Maybe there should be the wine benefit scheme, the WBS.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. You said before there were bars in Parliament. You know, the best thing was New South Wales Parliament, until about 15 years ago, because the Telegraph campaigned to shut it down, I think shamefully, Parliament had its own bottle shop. But it was staffed entirely by dills who knew nothing about wine, which is a shorthand way of saying people from New South Wales. So when I got there, one of my mates at the pub said, "Oh, you're South Australian, you probably like to have a look in their bottle shop." I'm like, "What?" But I went in there, they had bottles that they had no idea what the prices should be. They had bottles of like 1980 Penfolds, like bin 128 or 389s and things, and they just put them like $15. First day I was there, I bought 24 bottles of wine, and I went home and I had like $1,000 worth of booze. It was superb.
Well, I think there's an argument that you should be able to buy some take-homes. It's more of consuming them in the workplace that's problematic. I think the bottle shop is entirely defensible.
Yep.
21 minutes after 6. Now, we're not a request show in the sort of classic sense of doing top 40 music and you want to hear a song and you just...
This is excellent.
Through sheer weight of numbers, you get it. But this morning we might make an exception. We have an overwhelming number of texts to start the program, unsolicited, saying 2 words, Anne Moran. So what we're going to do is we'll give the people what they want, and we'll be talking about this extraordinary story in the Tiser this morning regarding Anne Moran after 6:30. And in fact, I tell you what, if you want to voice your thoughts, call us on 8223 0000. So, we'll do it after the 5AA news.
I think Mark from Glenside has framed it. I'm going to read Mark's text out. please talk about the story on the Advertiser's website overnight about how Anne Moran is annoyed because she feels that she deserves a cover story in the SA Weekend Lift-Out because Aman Abrahimzadeh got one. This might be the funniest example of textbook narcissism I have ever heard. Textbook narcissism. That is such a terrific description for this, Mark. I know some people are angry that she said this, and some people are offended that she said this. I think it actually is risible, it's laughable, and it tells you sort of all you need to know about it, doesn't it?
It's actually it's low key one of the most outrageous things I've ever read in the paper. It's just a total absence of awareness. Anyway, look, let's hold that. We're going to do it after 6:30, and we'd love you to be part of the conversation. 8223 Text us on the Automasters text line. The weather for the rest of the day is stormy. Stormy. Possible storm is literally what the Bureau is saying. Top of 19. It's actually nearly 16 degrees right now outside. It's quite nice.
I see. I'd abandon my usual glass half full take on the weather. I'm not going to start arguing that when you say possible storm, maybe it's possible non-storm.
Likely no storm.
Yeah. This sounds like more like very possible storm. 15
to 20 mils of rain expected on the way. Chance of a thunderstorm late in the afternoon and evening, possibly severe, says the Weather Bureau. But we'll get more info from that on that for you in about 20 minutes' time. 16 the top tomorrow, still 10 mils around about the place. It'll be wet again on Friday, 16 and 6 mils potentially. Saturday, 16. It clears up on Sunday, but it's cool, 15. Cool on Monday, 15. And Tuesday next week, much like Tuesday this week, looks really nice. Top of 18 and clear. Tom Wren in the 5AA Breakfast Studio as we turn our attention to sport. Order a Gliderol roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details. Morning, Rennie.
Morning to you, Will. Morning, David. A lot of people waking up this morning wondering what's going on at the US Open. Nick Kyrgios plays a little bit later this morning in his quarterfinal clash against Karen Khachanov. The other Aussie, Isla Tomljanovic, is on court at the moment. So she lost the first set to the 5th seed Ons Jabeur. It's her best year by a mile. She made the quarterfinals at Wimbledon, quarterfinalist here at the US Open, and lost the first set 6-4. It's currently in a tiebreaker in the second set. So hopefully Tomljanovic can force that to a deciding third set. We'll keep you updated.
So is this Karen bloke that
Khachanov?
Yes.
Russian. No, he can play.
Russian? Why is he playing then? I thought they banned them. Was that just Wimbledon? No,
it's just Wimbledon, I think.
Just Wimbledon.
Oh, so the Yanks haven't banned them?
No.
Yeah, right, okay.
He can play. He's a big talent as well. He's one of those sort of enigmatic players, a little bit like
Drago.
Nick. Yeah, exactly. It'll be a very entertaining match from both sides of the court. So looking forward to it.
Was that Rocky 3 or 4?
4. 3 was Clubber Lang.
1 and 2 were Apollo Creed.
1 and 2 was Apollo Creed. 4 was, we're Rocky. I can change, you can change, we can all change. It was an iconic moment.
And also James Brown doing the soundtrack. Living in America.
Now, in terms of soccer, a lot of people probably also wondering this morning what happened with Ange Postecoglou, first ever Australian to coach a Champions League match. They were 0-0 at half-time against Real Madrid, playing at home, and there was this belief, maybe they can hang on for a point or even pinch a goal, but they've gone down 3-0 in the second half, so disappointment there. Probably not that surprising.
What's the salary cap difference between Real Madrid and Celtic?
It'll be significant.
Staggering.
Yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Hundreds of millions, I reckon.
Of euros. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go down 3-0. And then a little bit of football news about the place at the moment, fellas. We know that, there's a bit going on with the Crows trying to get Isaac Rankin, but Port very keen on Junior Rioli and also Josh Dunkley. My understanding is Francis Evans. He is a player from Geelong, played 5 games this season. 2019 draft. Port also very keen to bolster their forward line and get him in as a sort of medium to small sized forward as well. So a bit going on from a Port perspective right now.
Lots of list action from Port, which kind of, when we spoke to Koshy during the year, he would often say, the issue with the club is we need to reinvest in behind the scenes and the coaching box and the soft cap and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, internally, there's a belief that, no, the playing list is part of the issue as well.
I think so. And I think as well, there's no doubt, I'm sure Ken would be thinking, well, if I'm going to have a go here, let's put all
large.
Put all the chips in and let it ride.
Well, yeah, that's right. But it's not as though they're totally mortgaging the future. It was Junior Rioli's, 27?
27, and missed 2 years, so should be able to go a bit longer.
That's right. Dunkley's mid
25,
and Evans is obviously young,
21, 22.
So yeah, it is. It's getting mature ages in, but it's not as though he's gone down the
31, 32 year
the
old
Geelong path and brought in a Sean Higgins or a
Yeah.
Isaac Smith or that. Mind you, that's turned out pretty well for them. So maybe
Does
that's
it
not
change the way he coaches next year, Tom? You know better than pretty much anyone, because he's sort of had these mock executions over the last couple of years, Hinkley. It's been like, well, this is, you've really got to show that you can take us all the way this time. But 2023, that is absolutely the
It is
case.
absolutely. I don't think so. I think he'd just be praying now. He just needs to stay healthy. You know what it's like in pre-season. No news is good news. Stay healthy, keep them fit, and if you can do that, bit of luck, then they can have a crack at it. But, they need a few things to go their way. You're right, though. This is it.
Yeah.
It's on the line.
Yeah.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
Great stuff. Order a glider or roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details. We're going to be talking Anne Moran on 5AA Breakfast next.
At Harvey Norman, get 60 months interest-free, no deposit finance from Latitude and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Shop furniture, bedding, computers and technology, TVs and entertainment and more. That's 60 months interest-free, no deposit, no interest from Latitude with 60 approximately equal monthly payments and receive a bonus gift card up to $1,000. Finance only available if you have or are approved for a participating Latitude credit card. Minimum finance amount $1,000. See T's and C's. Interest applies for non-compliance. Fees and product exclusions apply. Now at Harvey Norman.
When you've been around for over a century, you know a thing or two. And Business SA and Ray White have almost 300 years between them. So when an alliance is formed between Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA, they're bringing all their experience to your business, making sure it's in top shape, whether you're buying, selling, or somewhere in between. Get in touch with the experts, Business SA and Ray White Business Sales SA on 8300 0000. That's 8300 0000.
With everything going on, it's tough to stay ahead. But you can always rely on a great Aussie shed to protect your tractor, boat or car, even turned into your very own bar. Somewhere to pile up your bales of hay or to escape with a block of clay. Whatever the plan for your Great Aussie Shed, act fast, because our Great Aussie Shed sale is here at last. Visit one of our 4 display centres today. Olympic Industries, built to last.
If you're in the market for an SUV, Adelaide's Renault dealers have exciting news for you. They've managed a scoop purchase of the all-new Renault Arcana and Capture range. Prices start from an incredible $34,990 drive away. And the best part? They're in stock, ready to drive away, no waiting. Plus, you get 5-year warranty and roadside assist with capped price servicing. You'll even get a $500 fuel voucher. Only available at Southern Vales Renault, Adrian Bryan Renault and Main North Renault. LVD 173.
APIA's offering a 10% discount on new comprehensive car or home insurance, because the more you save, the more you can enjoy retirement. Like taking salsa classes. That's APIA value. Call APIA today on 13 50 50 to discover even more ways to save. T's and C's apply. Offer available until 30 October 22. Some optional extras excluded from discount. APIA is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Read the PDS before buying this insurance. Call for copy. TMD also available.
I give with heart in everything I do.
Acclaimed rock musician John Stevens survived open heart surgery thanks to the kind of life-saving research funded by the Heart Foundation.
As I lay in recovery, all I could think about was my family. That's why I'm pledging my support to Give with Heart Day, and you can too. It's something every family deserves. Donate to the Heart Foundation at givewithheartday.com.au and make September 14 the day you help save a life.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Rain and a possible storm today, a high of 19. With the 6:30 news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight Friday.
A man will face court today charged with murder following the death of a woman at Parkholme yesterday. Emergency crews were called to a Condada Avenue home, finding the victim, Louise Hughes, collapsed and unresponsive. The 51-year-old died soon after. A 31-year-old man who lived at the home's been arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. The pair knew each other, but they were not in a relationship. Police are investigating a serious crash at Redwood Park this morning. A motorcycle collided on Milne Road just after 3 a.m. Major crash investigators are at the scene. Milne Road's currently closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Road, with diversions in place. And a horror crash in Sydney has killed 5 young people. An 18-year-old was the only survivor when the ute he was driving collided with a tree at Buxton. The victims, 3 girls and 2 boys, are all believed to go to the local high school. Fire and Rescue's Adam Dewberry says the first responders who reached the scene are being offered support.
We'll be providing support to our firefighters who have been exposed to this traumatic event, with support and counselling as required. Now, our firefighters have conducted a debrief back at station as part of that recovery process.
South Australian childcare workers will walk off the job today as part of a nationwide strike. More from Michaela Kamarik.
Hundreds of childcare workers will gather on the steps of Parliament House from 3 p.m. this afternoon. They're protesting for better working conditions and improved pay, with some earning as little as $24 an hour. Some centres will shut for a full day, others for part of the day, and some centres will have skeleton staff on hand in case families turn up. The union is asking parents to support the strike, insisting it's about improving care for their kids.
Liz Truss has delivered her first speech as Britain's Prime Minister. During the address out the front of number 10 Downing Street, Ms Truss pledged to transform the country. She's also paid tribute to her predecessor.
Boris Johnson delivered Brexit, the COVID vaccine, and stood up to Russian aggression. History will see him as a hugely consequential Prime Minister.
The life and music of Judith Durham has been celebrated at a state memorial service in Melbourne. She died last month at the age of 79. Band members, friends and members of the Australian music community shared their stories between stirring performances of songs by the Seekers and from Durham's solo career. Among them, a cover of her song Jelly Bean Blue, performed by Judith's older sister Beverly, who fondly remembered their childhood and many songs they sang together.
And I can remember we'd do it early in the morning and my father would have to come in and say, "That's enough, your mother can't sleep."
New research suggests mind over matter's not the best advice for those trying to lose weight. A study by the CSIRO has found participants with the lowest motivation levels at the beginning of their journey lost the most weight compared to those with higher motivation. Researcher Gilly Hendry says it's best to just get started instead of waiting for the right frame of mind.
Mindset at the beginning of a weight loss journey was not the best predictor of weight loss success. It was actually having really great digital tools around you to support you through the program.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you for that, Kendall. Let's start with tennis. Aussie Isla Tomljanovic has been knocked out of the US Open after going down in straight sets to 5th seed Ons Jabeur. Tomljanovic lost the first set 6-4, but led 5-3 in the second set and had a chance to level things up, but couldn't do so, losing that set in a tiebreaker.
Jabeur to the semis. 6-4. Got it done in straights.
Audio there thanks to Channel 9. Well, Australian batsman Aaron Finch has once again failed to fire at international level. The white ball captain made only 5 runs as the Aussies beat New Zealand by 2 wickets in a one-dayer in Cairns. Chasing 233 to win, the Aussies crashed to be 5 for 44, but a brilliant 168-run partnership between Alex Carey and Cameron Green saw the home side turn things around. Carey made 85 while Green was unbeaten on 89, but nearly had to retire with full body cramps, something he says was causing significant issues.
Groin, calf, hamstring, and forearm, so kind of the whole lot was going, so not ideal, but that's okay.
He got through. That audio thanks to Fox. Sydney co-captain Callum Mills has signed a huge contract extension, keeping him at the Swans until 2029. The 25-year-old's in career-best form, making the All-Australian team this season. To soccer, the Matildas have lost to Canada again, this time going down 2-1 in Sydney. Meantime, Ange Postecoglou has become the first ever Australian to coach a match in the European Champions League, but it wasn't the result he wanted, as his side Celtic went down 3-0 at home against Real Madrid. In other matches, Manchester City smashed Sevilla 4-0, Chelsea lost 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb, while Paris Saint-Germain got over Juventus 2-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm, a high of 19. Showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 16. Then an early shower or two Saturday, 16. At the moment, 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. Police and weather coming up with some more detail on when and if we get that storm a little bit later today. Serious rain from late morning, so it's going to be a pretty wild one out there a little bit later today. Also coming up later on the program, Sean Fuchs will join us. We'll go around the courts. We have Jane Lomax-Smith on the program too, with regard to her throwing a hat in the ring for the election to become the next Lord Mayor of the City of Adelaide. Let's just read some text and see if you're sitting at home listening whether you can detect a thread here, a theme.
Just to put them in their context, this is the story they relate to. Page 3 of today's Tiser. Adelaide City Councillor Anne Moran has demanded her, quote, life story be told, launching a bitter complaint. It was, quote, unfair. A fellow councillor, that's Aman Abrahimzadeh, was able to tell of the moment he recently confronted his killer father. Ms Moran has vented her frustration at the timing of a story in the Advertiser on Saturday in which Aman revealed the harrowing moment he confronted his dad, who murdered his mother, Zara, and says she wants equal time. Anyway, we've not said anything at all ourselves about this in the 37 minutes we've been on the air. Just to further frame public sentiment around this issue, we thought we would hit you with the completely unprovoked tsunami of feedback we are already getting on the Auto Masters text line. Terry in Henley Beach says, timing of the story, it was the Father's Day weekend, for God's sake. Anne Moran has not an ounce of empathy in her body. Tessa in Paraka says, crikey, council elections must be due. It's the only way to explain Anne Moran's bizarre whataboutery. How tasteless. Wally the Walnut says, am I ever going to see your face again? Anne Moran, I hope not. Are we a tad jealous? Pathetic, really? One just simply says, what about Anne bloody Moran? Another one here, moving pictures, what about me? So Anne Moran wants more media attention. Oh, please, just retire, go Aman. That's from Mark in Para Hills. There are a mountain of messages there. But I texted you about this story yesterday, Will, and your first reaction was, is this even true?
I read it 3 times thinking I'm missing something. There's got to be an allegation here stronger than, well, he got a nice story told about him, there's an election and I need one about me. I thought there has to be more to it than that. Nobody could be that tone deaf. Nobody.
Well, clearly somebody can.
Just to reiterate, the story was about him confronting his father, who murdered his mother in probably one of the most public murders in South Australian history, at an event at the convention, at the convention centre.
See, when I sat down with Aman, it was 2 weeks ago, and Lauren Novak from the Advertiser, we did the interview together. We'd spent several weeks working on it, and the whole impetus for it was to tell the story for Father's Day, to talk about the destruction of the relationship of trust that he had with his own father, how it had never really been there in the first place, and how he reconciled that now. Now, in my piece, in Lauren's piece, there was not a single reference, and as normal human beings, the thoughts didn't even enter our mind. None of the articles even said he's running for election again. In fact, while I was writing it, I didn't even ask him that. Like, the profundity and the weight of the real human story that he's telling is up here, like right at that very, very high level. The piddling passing matter of some tin pot local government election has absolutely zero bearing on the story at all. And it just shows how, in her mind, like, firstly, she as a person and the council as an institution, she sort of like regards as some sort of presidential election or something, that it's this all-consuming thing. But I mean, I sort of beg the question, like, Aman's life has been shocking and remarkable at the same time. That's why the story received the attention that it got, and people were moved by how powerful he's been in his stoicism and his courage in facing his father and trying to make his father accountable for what happened. Like, what's her story? Like, is there what? Like, how do you look at it and think, well, that's all well and good. So his mum was stabbed to death. Now he's talking about it because he's gone and seen his dad. Well, what's all this mean for me? It is pretty off, isn't it?
Oh, it's totally off. And the utter delusion, as you say, that there was some secret backroom meeting at News Limited to say, how can we best utilise this story to affect the Adelaide City Council elections?
Well, that's the perverse part of it. Like, and she's trying to stress that she's not making that accusation against Aman.
No, not at all.
She's making it against the papers.
Against the papers, yes.
But implicit in that is a suggestion, though, that reflects on him, which is that somehow he'd willingly be party to debasing such a harrowing life story to turn it into some grubby vote-winning exercise, which is why some people are offended, as opposed to me, just and others just going, well, she's drifted off in her own crazy orbit on this one.
She has had the opportunity previously to tell her a bit of her life story, and she got to do it here on 5AA with a conversation with Cornsey. So in the interests of fairness, and Anne Moran wanted to have some of her story told, we thought we'd replay some of that for you.
You're born in Barmera? You're from...
my parents lived in Barmera. I was born at Calvary Hospital. Oh. Dad was a GP there for many years. And
did you live in Barmera?
We lived in Barmera, till I was about 8.
Okay.
And then we moved to Adelaide.
Tell us about those days. 8.
Oh, Barmera, even though I left at 8, my dad still used to go, and he was a gynaecologist. He went. That's why we returned to Adelaide. My husband's an anaesthetist, so it was a rather lovely synergy that Dad used to go to Barmera once a month, I believe, to do the gynae and obstetrics work, and my husband used to go down there to anaesthetise for him. So we kept a strong connection with Barmera.
Did he do that before you met? Did you meet your husband through your father?
No, I didn't. No, it was after my husband qualified to be an anaesthetist that he hooked up. So Dad had continued that, even though he'd gone to get his specialist qualifications. He kept that link with Barmera.
So there you go.
Not quite the dramatic tale that Aman tells, is it? But
it's just there. It is. Okay, so there's a bit of fairness.
I'd struggle to write 3,700 words about that, but
Just wanted everyone to have an opportunity to hear.
Everyone has a story to tell.
Everyone has a story to tell.
That's right.
Everyone is the star in their own movie. Should we read some more texts? Because there's a lot. And look, if you wanted to call and have your say, you're welcome to do so on 8223 0000.
One here just says, Anne Moran was at Meghan Markle. Another one says, I can't wait for John Blake's take on all of this. Surely this is capable of being turned into a song. One from here, David Alberton, says, I remember the saying, I'd be careful what you wish for, Ms. Moran.
Yes.
Helen simply says, how damn childish. If that's the calibre of the person, please grow up. One here, does Anne Moran's life story involve one or more silver spoons? And one here says, maybe Anne Moran could do a feature piece on the years of constant regression she's seen over her time at the City of Adelaide Council. Thank you.
8223 0000 is our number. You can text us too on the Automasters text line 0248 08 1395. We've got your Samtas seafood voucher to give away over the course of the morning too. That'll be going to someone who makes a contribution and calls into the show. So we'll award that before 9 o'clock today. Great people there at Samtas. Food goes a hell of a long way. Andrew has called in. Andrew, good morning to you.
G'day. How are you, Will?
Good, Andrew.
David, I want to say this. I live in the city, in the South Ward, right? So I'm not scared of saying where, Hurdle Square, right? And I've had my letterbox already filled with stuff from Anne Moran and Martin. With Martin, can I just go there first? He asked you to contact him to then doesn't return your calls, so I find him very rude and ignorant, right? Then they've got another councillor that sided up with him, Snape, who's supposed to have been a Green, and if you saw the email that I got back from him in regards to that music festival that Peter Malinauskas had to step in on, well, you just would have been horrified, David. You would have been horrified. You know, Greens tend to support youth, and he's voting against it. And I was stupid enough to vote for him at the by-election. You can gather by this that I won't. Right, I know you're laughing, but living in the council, in the Adelaide City Council, is terrible. I can tell you what Peter Malinauskas needs to do. There is two solutions. The council, in my view, needs to become a greater Adelaide council, like probably not the size of the Brisbane City Council, but there needs to be some of the inner councils merged with it to, how can I say, you'll be horrified I say this, but dilute the vote of the North Adelaide Association, because it is impossible to get proper development done in the city, because you've got these people that aren't prepared to push for the city to be developed in the way like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth is a good example, and we're just going backwards, and these people are only there pushing their own barrow. And I actually think, and I've never followed the Armand story that well, but for Anne Moran to come out and again, so after being on that council for 20-something years, to come out and compare herself to the tragedies that poor man's gone through, I find is horrifying.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. Appreciate that. Lots of people wanted to have their say. Let's go to Lewiston. Ray, good morning.
Oh, good morning. I really didn't want to go to air, but I'm pretty sure that I've read a story about Anne Moran in the South Australian Weekend magazine. Someone can check up on that,
Ray.
but I reckon they've already done a story.
Yeah, maybe she wants them to do another one. But that's a very good point, Ray. And I can check that easily. I'll ask their editor.
But it wasn't tactically held.
To
be printed during the election campaign, which is of course at the forefront of everyone's mind. Let's check traffic. We're off to the UK to talk British politics next, because there's a new Prime Minister there, and Vincent McAvaney is going to give us the lowdown. Until your new BMW arrives, Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
Thanks, Will, and good morning. Roads working pretty well for the drive-in today, which is excellent. Simply some works to keep in mind. Fullerton, you'll find works continuing on the intersection upgrade of Cross Road and Fullerton Road. Speed's down to 40 at the moment. Cavern asphalt works on Port Wakefield Road to Montague Road. And around Wavell a little bit later on in the morning. Expect a few delays around Greenhill Road and Goodwood Road. That's for the Royal Adelaide show. Keep in mind too that speeds go down to 25 when the show is on. Got a camera to Anzac Highway in Ashford. Is your morning commute feeling slow? Well, get lunch fast when you order on the Subway app. Click and collect is the fastest way to get a footlong. Download the Subway app today and get clicking. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
We remembered RAA road service, the new battery and tyres.
Yeah, we did.
But we forgot the tent.
Cabin.
Before you do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff and
keep on moving on.
With Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Whether a hobby or a full-blown dairy and livestock farm, they all have one thing in common: the need for good quality steel to keep livestock safe and secure. At Knorr Metals, we have just that. From rural fencing and gates to droppers, loading ramps and more, you'll find what you need for your farm. And if we don't, we'll source it for you quickly and at the best price. No matter what kind of farm you have, we'll help you out. At Knorr Metals, 255 Grand Junction Road, Ottaway.
Now, have you got a space in your shed? This is one of the most important rhetorical questions you'll ever hear. And you should act on it, like I did. Have you got a space in your shed, and like Rowie did? I'll start again. Have you got a space in your shed, workshop, or around the home that is begging to be storage space?
Get on to Sharman Shelving, because they love turning any space into a storage space, and they'll make it look good too.
You could do this with the baby coming, Will.
The baby's taking up all the space. But a
lot of that self-assemble stuff you've been doing, like
I know, I'm a schmuck.
You should have gone for like the full stainless steel changing cabinet.
We could have got the baby's room made out of a Sharman shelf.
Well, you could.
Just pull out a drawer. There you are.
Get it through the early years, and then in 2 years' time, just put all your tools in it.
They could fit a baby monitor in a shelf.
They could fit
They'd install it.
They could fit a baby in a shelf. Now, look, Bill and Christine, they'll come to your home, office, workshop or shed to measure up, then design, deliver and assemble the perfect storage solution in a great range of colours.
Goodbye Space. Hello Storage Space. You won't actually have to lift a finger either. It's all done for you. The only finger you lift is the one that says, "Oi, Bill, Christine, I want it over there."
That's right. When it comes to storage solutions, everybody needs a little shaman in their life. Call into the showroom at 412 North East Road, Windsor Gardens. Check out their excellent website. They sell barbecues too, which are great. Sharmanshelving.com.au and pizza ovens, or take a look on Facebook.
At Audica, our clinicians offer expertise, technology and value for every ear. Give your ears some love this winter. Save up to 20% off a selected range of our hearing devices and feel confident. With a 60-day money-back guarantee as well as a 4-year device warranty. If you're over 26, book your free hearing check today. Sale ends 31st August, T's and C's apply. Visit audica.com.au.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Yeah, it will be raining today. The remnants of the nice day yesterday are still here, but I think it's going to take a turn for the worst. Simon Timke, senior forecaster at the Bureau, can tell us all about it. When's it coming down, Simon?
Good morning, guys. Well, I think any time from late morning is possible, but most likely during the afternoon and evening. And I think the wettest period will be that sort of late afternoon and evening period. And chance of a thunderstorm later on in the afternoon and evening as well, which could produce some heavier periods of rainfall and some gustier winds as well. Temperature-wise, it's been quite a warm night. Our minimum temperature overnight was 12.4 degrees, currently sitting on about 16 degrees, and expecting a maximum of 19 degrees for the city today. Around the suburbs, 18 degrees for Glenelg, Elizabeth and Noarlunga, 16 degrees for Mount Barker. Over the next few days, we'll see showers continuing, but easing over the weekend. So Thursday and Friday, both still some showers around 16 degrees for those 2 days. Saturday and Sunday, 16 with an early shower or two for Saturday, 15 for Sunday. Should be partly cloudy, just a slight chance of a shower for Sunday. So an easing of the showers over the weekend.
Hey, Simon, just looking at the radar now, it looks like the heavy stuff's currently sort of over Ceduna Streaky Bay way. Is it hard to get an exact bead still, even though it's only a few hours away, on how much of it's going to be a direct hit on the sort of city and the suburbs?
Yeah, it is, and it is still sort of developing, and we do have a bit of a gap in the radar. So I've got a radar at Ceduna, and obviously our radar here just to the north of the city at Buckland Park. So as it moves over Eyre Peninsula, we sort of can't see it quite so well when it's between those two radars. So that can make it a little bit tricky as well. And it is still developing as it moves eastward. So what you see now doesn't necessarily stay the same as it moves eastwards.
Yeah, Simon, thank you. Simon Timke, senior forecaster at the Bureau. Matt Brown is senior constable on duty at SAPOL this morning. Matt, there's been a serious crash at Redwood Park.
That's right, Will. Just after 3 a.m. today, police and emergency services were called to Milne Road at Redwood Park after reports that a motorcycle had crashed. Now, major crash investigators are at the scene and have commenced examining the circumstances of the collision. And Milne Road is currently closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Road, and traffic diversions are in place and will be for most of the morning, so please avoid the area if possible.
Matt, also a bloke's been arrested with 300 ecstasy pills and a pill press, which suggests that he's trying to sell them.
That's right, David. On Monday, the 5th of September, detectives from the Serious and Organised Crime Branch attended an address in Cherry Gardens in relation to an investigation into the suspected trafficking of ecstasy. And a search by police uncovered a manual pill press machine, several punches and dyes and casts for the different markings on the tablets, binding agents, other items used in the making of ecstasy, about 50 grams of ecstasy crystals, and as you mentioned, over 300 ecstasy tablets ready to go. So yesterday, a 22-year-old man from Cherry Gardens was arrested and charged with trafficking a commercial quantity of a controlled drug, and he's been bailed to appear in court at a later date. So anyone with information about the possession, manufacture or use of illegal drugs is asked to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Good stuff, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Senior Constable Matt Brown from SAPOL. We're about to head off to the UK. Vincent McAviney is our UK correspondent, where there is a new Prime Minister. Liz Truss has been officially sworn in. Vincent, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Vincent, before we get on to Liz Truss and what she brings to the job, there was a very Bojo-esque farewell press conference. We know you've delivered some withering assessments of Boris Johnson on our program over the years, but he sort of went out true to form, didn't he?
Very much so. He talked about handing over a baton in a relay, a race he was running, he claims, when the rules were changed halfway through. Well, the rules weren't changed. The rules are very simple. You have to command a parliamentary majority, and his conduct repeatedly over months of lying, over the Partygate affair, over not over standing by someone who had been accused of sexual assault, meant that his party had no confidence, and he had to go. So he didn't, as ever, played pretty fast and loose with the truth there, in a polite way of saying it, but basically lied. And he also compared himself to Cincinnatus, this figure in sort of Roman history that we've all had to look up, who was someone who assumed command, a sort of dictator who didn't believe in the people having a voice, and who ruled, it seems, twice. He had a comeback. So Boris Johnson very much setting himself up for a sequel in a couple of years' time.
Maybe the rules that changed beneath him were those about having parties. Maybe that was the one that tripped him up. Vincent, give us here in Australia and in South Australia the sort of you need to know Liz Truss starter pack.
Well, she is the UK's third female Prime Minister. She is a bit of a survivor in politics, but it's been a pretty rocky course for her. She's been in cabinet as far back as David Cameron, who now, he is now 3 Prime Ministers back, and she's done various jobs, but it hasn't gone well for her in many of them, it has to be said. She was the sort of Environment, Farming and Rural Affairs Secretary for a period, and then she was shuffled to Justice. That was a bit of a disaster. She was then demoted down to a sort of secondary ministerial role at the Treasury, and then she more recently has been the Foreign Secretary. There's sort of nothing kind of outstanding in her track record, no big deliveries, and quite a number of mistakes made. She's very wooden in her delivery and public pronouncements. There's a very famous speech. If your listeners want to go and see what she's like delivering a speech, I would suggest that they look on YouTube for Liz Truss Pork Market and British Cheese, a very famous speech she made. You guys should probably pull the audio where she talked about British exports, and it's incredibly strange to watch. It was to a party conference where normally they lap up, anyone sort of talking about backing British business, and she couldn't get a laugh or a clap of support at all. So she is someone who has sort of fallen into this prime ministership, to be honest. I don't think if they were in opposition, she would have kind of come to the fore in the way that she did. This is very much 12 years in government, who can do the job.
Liz Truss Pork Market. Sounds like the sort of thing you clear your history after you doing searches like that, but I'll check it out. Good on you, Vincent. Vincent McAviney, our UK correspondent. Always great analysis of what's happening over in the mother country.
7:05 gives us something to look at in 5AA News. That's coming up. We'll take you through a wrap of the overnight and morning's news next.
With everything going on, it's tough to stay ahead. But you can always rely on a great Aussie shed to protect your tractor, boat or car, even turned into your very own bar. Somewhere to pile up your bales of hay or to escape with a block of clay. Whatever the plan for your Great Aussie Shed, act fast, because our Great Aussie Shed sale is here at last. Visit one of our 4 display centres today. Olympic Industries, built to last.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family. And Jarvis have stock ready for immediate delivery. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 21 years of great deals.
Who can fix the shower?
Service today.
Who can fix the power?
Service today.
Hey, yes we can, is what we say at Service Today.
Every time you see our bright yellow trucks in your area, we're helping out your neighbours. We can help you too. So for the best plumbing, electrical, heating and cooling work, call Service Today 24/7.
Can you fix the shower? Yes we can.
Can you fix the power?
Yes we can. Yes we can, is what we say at Service Today.
Call 1300 Service.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Rain and a possible storm, a top of 19. With the 7 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight Friday.
Court today for a man charged with the murder of a woman at Parkholme. Louise Hughes was found collapsed and unresponsive at a Condada Avenue home yesterday morning. Despite attempts to revive her, she died at the scene. A 33-year-old man from the home's been arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. Police say the pair know each other, but they were not in a relationship. Emergency crews are at the scene of a serious crash at Redwood Park. Senior Constable Matt Brown says a motorcyclist has crashed on Milne Road.
Major crash investigators are at the scene and have commenced examining the circumstances of the collision. And Milne Road is currently closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Road, and traffic diversions are in place and will be for most of the morning, so please avoid the area if possible.
While a horror crash south of Sydney has killed 5 teenagers, the 18-year-old driver's the lone survivor after his ute hit a tree at Buxton. Local Mayor Matt Gould says it's a place where everyone knows everyone.
In a small village like Buxton, it's very, very likely that some of the emergency service responders last night knew some of these kids personally.
More than 1,000 childcare centres will close early or for the whole day as staff demand reform of the early education sector. Around 30,000 families are expected to be affected by the nationwide shutdown. But the United Workers Union's Executive Director of Early Education, Helen Gibbons, says parents are already aware.
All the parents will already know about this because educators have been talking to the parents for weeks about making alternative arrangements, but also about the importance of this and what they're calling for and why it's in everybody's interest.
Labor will introduce legislation to reduce the financial burden of downsizing your home. Pensioners will be exempt from the assets test for an extra 12 months after the sale of their home. It means they'll be given more time to buy, build or renovate before their pension's affected. The price of prescription medicines will come down from next year at a cost of almost $800 million. More from Michael Packey in Canberra.
During the election campaign, both Labor and the Coalition made a pledge to slash the price of drugs listed on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. The Albanese government will today introduce legislation which will reduce the cost by almost 30%, with the maximum price for a script dropping to $30. The new rate will come into effect from the 1st of January next year and will cost the federal budget $765 million over the next 4 years.
Boris Johnson has delivered his final speech as Britain's Prime Minister. Liz Truss has officially been sworn into the role after a visit to the Queen at Balmoral Castle. Mr Johnson used his departing words to reiterate his support for her and reflect on his time in office. But in true Boris Johnson fashion, he went out with a touch of flair.
Let me say that I am now like one of those booster rockets that has fulfilled its function, and I will now be gently re-entering the atmosphere and splashing down invisibly in some remote and obscure corner of the Pacific.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a glider roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search glider roll for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Free-to-air Saturday night footy all season long has fallen victim in the latest AFL broadcast deal. The AFL has signed a 7-year, $4.5 billion deal. Foxtel is the big winner, getting 8 Super Saturdays, where the only place you can watch football is behind a paywall, while 7 has been handed Thursday night football. And AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan says with the signing of the deal, he's increasingly optimistic about a team in Tasmania.
I think Tasmanians should have faith in their government that they're prosecuting their interests. I don't think today changes anything. The Commission's commitment to the 18 shareholders and the clubs and others, if it's the right deal for football, which includes all the Tasmanians but also everyone across this country, if it's the right deal, we'll push ahead, and if it's not, they won't go ahead.
To tennis now, and Ons Jabeur has beaten Aussie Isla Tomljanovic in the US Open quarter-finals after a hard-fought 6-4, 7-6 win. It means there's only one remaining Aussie left in the singles draw, Nick Kyrgios taking on Karen Khachanov later this morning. To cricket now, Australia's taken a 1-0 lead in its ODI series against New Zealand thanks to a brilliant partnership between Cameron Green and Alex Carey in Cairns. Chasing 233 to win, the Aussies were battling at 5 for 44, but the pair put on 168, with Carey making 85 while Green finished unbeaten on 89 and was awarded man of the match. To soccer, and the Matildas have gone down 2-1 against Canada in Sydney overnight, while in European Champions League action, Ange Postecoglou's Celtic have lost 3-0 against Real Madrid, while in other matches, Manchester City smashed Sevilla 4-0, while Chelsea was upset 1-0 by Dinamo Zagreb. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
Roads working really good today, no great hassle, simply some works to keep in mind at Fullerton. You'll find those intersection works continuing Crossroad at Fullerton Road. It's down to 40 at the moment. Cavan, Asheville works there, Port Wakefield Road near Montague Road. And Wavell, expect delays a little bit later on in the morning around Greenhill Road and Goodwood Road for the Royal Adelaide Show. And do keep in mind that when the show is open, speeds do go down to 25. Tomorrow's car is in stock today. Tech Drive, a Hyundai Tucson Turbo Diesel at your Hyundai dealer, and experience innovative tech and all-wheel drive performance. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm today, a high of 19. Then showers on Thursday and Friday, 16. An early shower or two for Saturday, 16. And partly cloudy for Sunday, 15. At the moment, 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
We open our doors to people we trust and care about. And for over 85 years, South Australians have been opening their doors to Rest Haven. In turn, we've been opening doors to an easier, better life at home. From personal care to help with the shopping and social outings, you'll welcome the care that Rest Haven brings.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 7. You need to jump on the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live stream thanks to RAA right now, because Vincent pointed out one of Liz Truss's bizarre public appearances to us, and it kind of needs to be seen and heard at the same time, because there's a way of selling punchlines or moments in a speech that sometimes has a sort of a physical element to it. And Liz Truss, in this prepared speech about improving sort of trade deficit and so on and so forth in the UK, reacts as though she's Jerry Seinfeld a lot of the time during it, and it gives you these really sort of bizarre moments.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
The crowd goes wild.
She sort of just does this weird look on her face as though just the punchline has just been dropped.
Yeah, mic drop.
Mic drop moment. Anyway.
There's that sort of golf clap delay.
Well, people aren't sure whether it's a serious point or why are you making a funny face. Anyway.
Very quick text here from Sue on the Automasters text line, Christie's Beach. Read the SAPOL segment where we heard about the little drug dealer scumbag with his ecstasy tablets. Why didn't he just tell the police that he was crushing up his anti-inflammatory medication?
Well, it's indeed a development, that story. Wayne Carey's asking for an apology from the Perth Casino this morning. So he has upped the ante.
The WA police have said they're investigating it now as well. That all pans out.
9 minutes after 7. Lots of Amaran-related feedback coming through on the text line as well. Somebody calls the program and has their say on anything that gets discussed over the course of the morning will win a Samtas seafood voucher this morning. So we've already got a few that are in the running. If you'd like it to be you, call in and have your say. 8223 0000. Big news out of yesterday. There's some massive stories that broke in the latter part of the day. And in the middle part of the day, it was interest rates that were the big story, with the Reserve Bank surprising no one and deciding to announce a 5th consecutive interest rate rise. That is a record. They haven't done that before. Lifted it by 0.5 percentage point. The cash rate is now at a 7-year high of 2.35%. If you think back to just May of this year, where at the start of September, it was 0.1%. Here's Treasurer Jim Chalmers.
This will be very difficult news for a lot of Australians with a mortgage. This will tighten the screws on family budgets. This will put more pressure on a lot of Australians who are already stretched enough. A 0.5 percentage point increase in the cash rate means that average homeowners owning $330,000 will have to find about $95 a month more for repayments. For Australians with a typical $500,000 mortgage, it's about an extra $145 a month, in addition to the extra $475 they've had to find since rates started rising before the election in May. So interest rate rises do mean that Australians will have to make more hard decisions about how to make ends meet.
So if you pile all the increases together going back to May, if you have a $750,000 mortgage, which used to sound like a lot and now actually sounds like a reasonably normal house. I mean, you look at the ads we do for McGain's down south. There's houses in Morphett Vale that are going for close to $750,000 now.
Yes.
So if that's your mortgage, your repayments have gone up since May by $930 a month. And the way the tax system works is you've got to earn twice that to service that debt.
So over $450 a week. If you do that doubling, which is paying rent to somewhere else.
The government's got to put the screws on the RBA board. They have been inept. None of these increases were going to happen, we were told, for at least another year and a half.
This is the thing, and this is the dichotomy in talking about it. So I'll tell you why they've raised it again. The Reserve Bank Governor quoted ABS stats looking at consumer behaviour in the last month. Spending in households in July, 18.4% up on the same month last year. Spending on services up 28.4%. Now, part of that's COVID and things were closed a year ago, so that's not a great point of comparison. This is the one that I think got their attention. Expenditure on goods up 9.5% at the same time compared to last year. And herein I think lies the problem with these raises. The people that are most marginalised by them, the people that suffer the most, are the people that listened hardest to the RBA in recent years and borrowed when they were told that they'd get 2 years of grace before anything like this would happen. Because there's a lot of other people that can deal with the change. They don't like it, but it's built into their capacity to repay mortgages.
That's right, because there's plenty of people who bought their house 10 years ago.
Exactly
right.
Like we did. Exactly right. So it's the people that listen the hardest that suffer the most, unfortunately, and that's why there needs to be some ramifications for the Reserve Bank. Big news yesterday in the AFL world, as we spoke about on the program in advance of the official announcement. The AFL rights deal has been signed off. $4.5 billion over 7 years. Remember, it starts in 2025 or after 2025, so this is not going to affect next year. It's not going to affect the year after that, but it comes in after that. Here is Gillon McLaughlin.
The total agreement we are announcing today with our broadcast partners covers 7 seasons from season 2025 until the end of 2031 season, and will deliver football a financial return of $4.5 billion. Footy is the greatest game in the world, and we have the best broadcast partners. And our announcement today is the biggest partnership in the history of Australian sport.
Some people have looked at what's happening on Saturdays with regard to Foxtel getting a form of exclusivity for the first 8 rounds. That means there will be Crows and Port games shown on 2 hours delay on free-to-air television. This was the spin from the AFL. Here's Gillon McLaughlin on the free-to-air games.
And importantly, this announcement means we'll have at least the same number of free-to-air games on the 7 network. I want to say that again. We'll have at least the same number of free-to-air games.
He emphasised it because he knew it'd be a sticking point. 15, of course, now are Thursday night games, which were hugely popular through the year. So it will be the same amount, but it'll be spread out differently, and the way you'll experience it will be differently, certainly for the first 8 rounds of the year.
I thought it was interesting that you labour the point that Gil made, because it was last night, Jane Doyle on the 7 News, the angle that 7 deliberately took on it too was that the AFL rights deal guarantees Crows and Port games on free-to-air, albeit the bit about the 2-hour delay was sort of, buried a few pars in. Which does annoy some people, but the fundamental question, can I still watch it for free?
Yes. On
free-to-air television, the answer to that is clearly yes.
You can, but if it's on a Saturday in the first 8 rounds of a year, it'll be on 2 hours delay. But other than that, you'll get the same amount. It's a staggering amount of money. Basically, $643 million a year, up from about 473 right now.
It's such a long deal too. I'm surprised that
it staggers me.
Yeah, because it feels like the AFL is actually missed a chance to make even more money by making it a 3-year deal and then doing what Gil's done so well, standing there twirling their hair and saying, okay, Amazon Prime and Optus and whoever else, what have you got?
Well, I thought it'd be interesting to go back. What did TV look like 7 years ago in terms of how well can you predict the way people will consume it?
So there's no Netflix?
7 years ago, Netflix first started in Australia. Okay, the 2015, there was a part of 2015 where there was no streaming that people did. It didn't exist. In the 7 years since, 78% of Australian households now have at least one subscription, and on average, each household has 4.3 platform subscriptions. That's how much TV consumption's changed in the last 7 years. This is not just 7 years from today, too, by the way. This is a deal that expires 9 years from today because it doesn't kick in for 2 years. So predicting what TV watching habits are going to be like in 2031 is extra. And now I'm not even saying that streaming might be a flash in the pan. Who knows in a decade's time? And maybe it'll go back to a more free-to-air model, whatever it might well be. I'm stunned that they signed a 7-year deal.
All I know is that AM will still be here, and it is the future of media, as far as I'm concerned.
It's your future in media.
Johnny Rotten had a line about that.
Yesterday, too, I'm sure a lot of people...
I'm serious. AM is the most internet-proof medium. Free-to-air television's not, print's not. AM radio is portable, it's free. You can access it anywhere. Now you can even get it on your iPhone.
You have been able to for a while.
You get the app from the old iTunes store, and off you go.
Yesterday there was the memorial service for Judith Durham, of course, in Melbourne as well. Here's Keith Podger remembering Judith Durham.
So Judith, my little sister, you may not be here in one way, but you have not really gone, because your picture is on my wall, and your boundless spirit and love will be in my heart forever.
Yeah, nice opportunity for fans of her and the Seekers to pay their respects.
Yeah, and good to see the surviving band members there as well, giving their eulogies too.
Sam Daddo, producer extraordinaire, has wandered into the studio. What's happening, Sam?
Morning, guys. We're getting reports of a bunch of Jetstar flights being cancelled this morning across the country, actually. So Adelaide to Gold Coast 7:10 this morning. That's obviously one that was going to go, but it's already been cancelled. What else have we got? We've got a Gold Coast to Adelaide, JQ499, coming in here at 12:45. That's been cancelled. And there's a bunch of Rex flights also being cancelled. So check out JQ765, Adelaide to Sydney, 5:30 tonight. That's also been cancelled.
See, this is funny, because when Alan Joyce was under the pump last week, Sam, talking about the financial losses and what it would mean and how they're going to have to jack up domestic prices and international prices by as much as 20%. One of the big boasts he made was how many people are going to be flying inexpensively and reliably on Jetstar. Between this and what's going on up there in Bali, that particular part of his charm offensive has fallen apart in record time.
Also, JQ766, Sydney to Adelaide, landing at 10 p.m. tonight, has been cancelled. So there you go. If you're flying Jetstar, have a look.
God, that's extraordinary. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. We'll keep an eye on that over the course of the day. If you are flying Jetstar and that's just been news to you, or maybe you're across it and you're furious, call us. We want to hear from people. 8223 Where were you meant to be going? Are you expecting someone coming back?
Maybe that could be a new part of your booking for Jetstar when they say, "Oh, would you like a sandwich? You pay a bit extra for the sandwich, and would you like to take a bag with you? Pay a bit extra for the bag." And also, would you like a flight? You might charge a bit extra for the plane to actually turn up.
Would you like your plane to arrive?
Yeah.
Well, that's $25.
Yeah.
Time to check traffic until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
Good morning, boys. At Clarence Park, look out for a tree down on Goodwood Road just past Crossroads. You're heading into the city. It's partially blocking a lane at the moment. It's Fullerton. You'll find intersection works continuing Crossroad at Fullerton Road, speeds at 40, and we've got Ashford works at Cavan, Port Wakefield Road near Montague Road. Busy right now, South Road at Mileland, and a few cameras about too. Look out for one, Fisher Street, Narvan, and got another one, Smart Road at Modbury. Hungry? Head to a Porto for the $5 chicken strips. 5 delicious crispy chicken strips with your choice of dipping sauce, just $5. Only at a Porto. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
We remembered RAA road service, the new battery and tyres.
Yeah, we did.
But we forgot the tent.
Cabin.
Before you do the fun stuff, let RAA take care of the car stuff and keep on moving on.
Somehow I reckon we can do a lot better.
9 till 12 weekdays.
Councils can be very valuable in the services they offer, but we have gone down the path of worrying more about process than outcome.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
Have you got your ticket in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery? An incredible 8. Yes, 8 lucky ticket holders will drive away in an Audi Q2 just for getting in early. Plus, your tickets stay in the draw for the life-changing $3 million grand prize by the beach in Somerton Park. But don't wait, you must get your tickets by midnight Friday. Join the fight and support South Australia's healthcare heroes. Homelottery.com.au. Licence M14227.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years, the team at Lynn Andrews Real Estate have made it easy to manage residential and commercial property. Whether you own a single residential home or multiple commercial properties, our passion for property investment means we have a great deal of knowledge to share. How to invest safely and properly. Matching the right tenant with the right property every time. We're here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Hi ladies, Heather from Joyreen Fashions. Our final trading day is Saturday, September 24th, and there are further incredible reductions to clear our stock. All winter, spring and summer garments are $29. Yes, all $29. Special occasion half price. There is still plenty to choose for just $29, so hurry in. Final trading day, September 24th, Joyreen Fashions closing sale, 491 Portrush Road, Glenunga.
There are some promises we just can't keep. Like, one day we'll take the whole family to Disneyland. Or, I'll definitely start my fitness regime tomorrow. At Bob Burns Blinds, we have a promise we always keep. It's our 10-day installation promise. Unlike others, our quality roller blinds are made right here in SA, not interstate. So instead of waiting 3 months or more for your roller blinds, we'll do it in 10 days. And that's a promise. BobBurnsBlinds.com.au.
Is it possible to create tomorrow's car today? Hyundai believes so. Take the Tucson, Hyundai's midsize SUV, featuring a revolutionary look, intuitive interior, advanced tech, and safety. You can enjoy all this in the Tucson Turbo Diesel all-wheel drive. Available now. Tomorrow's car is here today. Hyundai Tucson, in stock now. Visit Hyundai.com.au. Imagine that. Hyundai.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 after 7. We love toasting South Australian champions, and we've got a new one. The great winery Taylor's has a new international champion. The prestigious Venus International Wine and Spirits Competition has seen the Taylor's Estate Shiraz 2020 from the Clare Valley recognised as an international champ. Mitchell Taylor, the Managing Director at Taylor's Wines, joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Mitchell, congratulations to you.
Thanks, David and Will. It's been terrific to get this accolade. I'm so proud of the family. This is our original first wine after 50 vintages of Taylor's. Our Taylor's Estate Shiraz. It got the champion wine of the whole competition.
I wanted to ask you that, Mitchell, exactly how long this wine has been around for, because it feels like it's, as long as I can remember, you know, you're at a good barbecue when there's a bottle of Taylor's Shiraz on the table. I can remember having it in the 1980s.
That's right. It's been over 50 vintages, and it's been one of Australia's favourite drops.
Yeah.
And that's why we're so proud of it. It's just Australian Shiraz. And as my father and grandfather always say, you know, we've got to make it consistently. Our name's on the label, and the team at Taylor's, you know, we've just got so much pride in this wine, which is one of Australia's favourite, to come up against all the wines around the globe. It really is a tribute.
Not just around the globe, but around Australia and South Australia. Like, thinking about how much wine styles have changed and how there's all these new varietals and new blends, and the market has just exploded in terms of the variety. So for you guys to sort of, you know, really stick to your knitting with the style and the persistence and the character that's run through it for 5 decades, it's sort of even harder to win something like this in the current climate, I'd argue.
It definitely is. It's been a tough year. Again, we're very innovative. We're always, you know, just doing little things to consistently improve it. But you've really got to, you know, look at those beautiful old vineyards that we've got in the Clare Valley. We've even blended a little bit from down the Limestone Coast just to improve the blend over the years. But it consistently comes up, and it is one of our favourites.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a terrific effort for the team through what's been challenging times, not only for us at Taylor's, but for the entire wine industry.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really terrific to, you know, have a win like this one.
Well, we raise a glass in your honour. Mitchell Taylor, the Managing Director of Taylor's Wines. Well done.
Absolutely. Great news. 26 minutes after 7. Time to reflect on the sports show last night. North Point are overstocked with late model used cars ready for immediate delivery. It is the North Point way. Rowie and Timmy last night caught up with Fremantle legend, South Australia's own Matthew Pavlich on his South Australian Football Hall of Fame induction.
It's been a big year for you. What does it mean to someone like you that's so humble in your football?
Oh, it really is a huge honour. Mum was pointing out last night at the event that it might only be Hayden Bunton Senior and I who have the great fortune of being selected in the WA Football Hall of Fame, the SA Football Hall of Fame, and also the Australian Football Hall of Fame. So it is incredibly humbling. And, you know, there's 214 names in that South Australian Football Hall of Fame that I joined last night. And look, I grew up in Kidman Park with Mum and Dad, and I just loved the game of footy. I was a West Torrens and then a Woodville West Torrens supporter, and all I ever wanted to do was hopefully emulate Dad and my uncles and play one game, and, you know, we sort of took it from there. So incredibly humbling. It's a great privilege, and it hasn't really sunk in, to be frank. You know, both the Australian Football Hall of Fame and last night's event has meant to us.
Wonderful footballer. One of the most versatile champions we've ever seen.
Seems like the world's nicest bloke. It's actually a big week too, footy-wise, for Sacred Heart College, because both Pav and also Kane Corns, they were there at the same time. They're only, I think, a year's difference. They're both 40, 39, something like that. They might have even been in the same year. But for they
weren't the same year. But yeah, they were
only
the same
a year
era.
apart.
They're the same era, I think.
Imagine that. You're like playing for, you know, Emmanuel, and you come up against
oh, yeah, no,
Sacred
Emmanuel,
Heart.
Kane Corns is the same year level as I am. So our football side played against Kane Corns. I played against him in cricket.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What about Pavlich? You ever play against him?
No, didn't play against Pavlich in anything, thank God.
Would be quite daunting, wouldn't it?
Oh, my word. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Yeah, you can catch Rowie and Timmy G at the Royal Show tonight and the rest of the week. They're there broadcasting live. North Point's overstocked with late model used cars ready for immediate delivery. That is the North Point way.
City Discount Tires.
For the best advice and price on tyres and mechanical, see City Discount Tyres. With local deals on the world's biggest and best brands in tyres, wheels, suspension and parts for four-wheel drive, SUVs and passenger cars. Finance available. Find your nearest dealer at citydiscounttyres.com.au. We're driven by value.
City Discount Tires.
Gliderol has manufactured and installed garage doors in SA since 1974, and their commitment to quality is as strong as ever. So if it's time for a new look for your house or time to upgrade, why not now? Order a new roller door, sectional door or customer designer door with operator by September 30th and you'll receive a free premium operator upgrade and 2 bonus handsets. For a free measure and quote and helpful advice, search Gliderol today. Retail customers only, T's and C's apply.
It isn't waste until you waste it. That's the catch cry from an amazing company called Eco Waste Solutions. Eco Waste Solutions is a hard waste recycling facility, not a dump, located at Williston. They'll take everything except hazardous waste and food scraps. They'll take your waste bricks, your mattresses, tyres, soil, timber, steel, concrete and more. Plus, if you pre-sort your load, you'll receive a 50% discount on disposal fees. Google Eco Waste Solutions Williston for more.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming. And they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Rain and a possible storm today, a high of 19. With the 7:30 news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight Friday.
Investigations are continuing into the death of a woman at Parkholme yesterday. 51-year-old mother of 2, Louise Hughes, was found collapsed and unresponsive at a Condata Avenue home. Paramedics couldn't revive her. A 33-year-old man who lived at the home was arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. He'll face court today. Police say the pair were known to each other, but were not in a relationship. There's been a serious accident involving a motorcyclist at Redwood Park. Just after 3 this morning, police and emergency crews were called to Milne Road after reports of a crash. The road's been closed while major crash officers investigate. And a horror single-car crash has killed 5 teenagers south of Sydney. A Nissan Navara lost control and slammed into a tree at Buxton, the impact tearing the ute apart. 3 teenage girls and 2 teenage boys died. The 18-year-old driver's the only survivor. Bernard Carlin from the Centre for Road Safety says young people are more vulnerable in a crash due to their inexperience behind the wheel.
This is a tragic reminder that we really do need to continue to work with young people to make sure that we're helping them be safe on the roads.
After a taste of spring yesterday, it'll be very different today, with the weather taking a turn for the worse. Simon Timke from the Bureau says we could see some rain from late this morning.
Most likely during the afternoon and evening, and I think the wettest period will be that sort of late afternoon and evening period, and chance of a thunderstorm later on in the afternoon and evening, which could produce some heavier periods of rainfall and some gustier winds as well.
Childcare centres around the country will shut today as staff push for the early education sector to be reformed. Some centres will close for the entire day. Others will shut early so workers can rally on the steps of Parliament House at 3 p.m. The union's Helen Gibbons says they're calling for 3 things.
The first is pay us what we're worth and give us a reason to stay working in the sector. The second one is to value us in the same way that we value schools. We are an education sector. And the third one is to put children before profit.
Legislation will be introduced to federal parliament to slash the price of prescription medicines by 30%. The maximum cost of a drug listed on the PBS will drop to $30 per script. The new price will come into effect from the 1st of January next year. Britain's Prime Minister's made her first speech, promising to get down to business and transform the country. More from Tracy Voe in London.
In her first address as Britain's leader, Liz Truss outlined 3 key priorities to tackle, including the country's growing energy crisis, with a major announcement expected later this week. Earlier in the day, Liz Truss flew to Balmoral for her formal appointment, asked to form a government by the Queen. It was a brief meeting, photos showing Her Majesty smiling and shaking hands. It followed the official resignation by Boris Johnson, who described himself as a sent booster rocket who had fulfilled his mission and vowed to support his replacement.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Glider Roll roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Glider Roll for details.
Here's Tom Rand.
Thank you for that, Kendall. Australian Isla Tomljanovic is out of the US Open after losing her quarter-final clash against Ons Jabeur. Jabeur took the first set 6-4 and then, in a rollercoaster ride of a second set, won it in a tiebreaker. Earlier, Casper Ruud made it through to the semi-finals of the men's draw, defeating Italian Matteo Berrettini in 3 sets. Later this morning, Nick Kyrgios will take to the court in his quarter-final clash against Karen Khachanov. Well, Australia's Matildas have had another disappointing night, blowing a 1-0 lead before going down 2-1 against Canada in Sydney. Star Sam Kerr telling Channel 10 they need to improve and need to stay healthy.
It's been a tough week because we've had a lot of injuries, and I think another one losing Vine at half-time. And then obviously we make a lot of subs and the level kind of drops off, but it's everyone. The most important thing for us as a team is that everyone stays fit and healthy, and we haven't had that this camp, so it's been really difficult for everyone and a really tiring camp.
Meantime, in overseas action, Ange Postecoglou's Celtic has gone down 3-0 to Real Madrid in their opening group game for the European Champions League. Scores were locked at 0-0 at half-time before Real Madrid scored twice in 5 minutes to take complete control early in the second half.
Here comes Eden Hazard. That's more like vintage Hazard. And now it's with Luka Modric, and still Modric, it's 2-0.
Audio there thanks to Stan. In other matches, mixed results for the English sides. Manchester City won, but Chelsea lost. And Australia beat New Zealand by 2 wickets in a one-day international last night in Cairns. Australia collapsed early, but still managed to reach the target of 233 with 5 overs to spare. Cameron Green, the man of the match, with 89 not out. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
At Redwood Park, Milne Road is closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue. That's due to a serious accident. Crash investigators are on the scene. O'Halloran Hill, another collision. Main South Road near Majors Road with debris on the road. At Clarence Park, look out for a tree down on Goodwood Road just past Crossroad. So as you're heading into the city, it's partially blocking a lane. Cameras today, Cliff Street, Glengarry and Fisher Street at Malvern. At Ampol Foodery, every stop is covered. There are food-to-go stops, coffee, milk and bread stops. When you need to keep moving, Ampol Foodery is worth a stop. Ampol, Australia's own. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm, a high of 19. Showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 16. Then an early shower or two on Saturday, 16. At the moment, 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, then you really need to speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. Google Beechwood Adelaide.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. Don't you hate it when things are out of your control, like electricity prices? They're skyrocketing. And if you've just received your winter power bill, you'll know exactly what I mean. With NRG Solar on your roof, combined with battery storage, you could zero out those power bills altogether. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today and take control of your power bills for good. That's nrgsolar.com.au or visit our interactive showroom at 406 South Road at Richmond.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. We're going to need another clue coming up for you, surely.
There's one day in September.
It's not too far away. We'd like to give you a clue early so you can think about it a little bit. Have your guess prepared. Get some science behind it.
Will we do the clue before 8 o'clock, do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Why not? We just decided it. We're going to do that. We'll give you another clue.
I should admit,
Clue number 3.
When you weren't in the room earlier, I saw what the clue is.
Did you?
Yes.
Where'd you do that? What are you going through the printer?
Just reading your notes.
Going through the printer, are you?
I'm cheating.
I have to put a lock screen on my
if
computer.
I run out of things to talk about, I'm going to start pinching yours. Oh, that sounds like a bit of a talking point. Yeah.
Well, okay, that's a good note for future. Sam, Sam's got it in an envelope now anyway, so no other sort of prying eyes can see it. We will reveal the clue shortly, and your chance to head to the AFL Grand Final this year is coming up. Might go off today. Third clue starts to narrow it down a bit. I think this is going to be a good one today as well. The grand final tickets, accommodation, flights, you know the deal. It's the ultimate prize. AFL authorised GF promotion, GF AFL 22/106, coming up very, very shortly. Let's go around the courts with Sean Fuster right now, thanks to the excellent people at Crime Stoppers. You can make a difference without getting involved through independent charity Crime Stoppers, supported by Police Credit Union. Sean, good morning to you.
Morning, guys, and it's just as well I'm technically, a co-employee of AA, because with my extensive sports ball knowledge, I'm sure I'd get that clue first time out.
Well, your investigative skills, Sean.
Absolutely. It's something to do with a pogo stick, surely, because, you've got to use a pogo stick across the bowling green to score the wicket.
Here's an early clue for everyone. Don't listen to Sean.
Yeah.
About this, anyway.
Yes. Your legal analysis, however, is without peer. Now, Sean, this sex pest DJ, this guy, you've written several stories about him now. What's the latest with him?
Well, guys, we always give stick to the courts around the courts. We talk about the fact that the law hasn't managed to keep up with technology. We talk about the law failing to get ahead of things and failing to, recognise the fact that the world is a changing place. This time, the courts actually deserve a couple of bouquets because they've gotten out ahead of a problem thanks to the sex pest DJ. Now, we're talking about Nicholas Emmanuel Athens, who's one of those creeps that likes to send young girls dirty pictures over Snapchat. For anybody that doesn't know what Snapchat is, it's one of those online apps where you send a picture and the picture vanishes the moment somebody's seen it. So it doesn't leave a trace. No evidence, no digital trail, nothing. Lots of people have been prosecuted for sending dirty pictures across Snapchat. Athens decided to take it one further. Having been given his deserved jail term, he said, well, look, the law says you have to use the best evidence against me. And what you're using is the recollections of these teenage girls of what I sent them, not the actual images of what I sent them. So how can you possibly be satisfied I'm guilty beyond reasonable doubt? Quite wisely, the Court of Appeal, President Mark Livesey, comes back and says, how's that any different to standing in front of them and opening your raincoat?
Yeah, good point. Good analogy.
That's an offence.
Yeah.
The best evidence in that offence is the memory of the person who's seen the opened raincoat. This is just digital flashing.
That's a great analogy.
It is a fantastic analogy.
Makes it seem somehow old-fashioned, only with, a handheld device. But,
exactly.
The old perv in the Mac pop it out from behind the bushes down the road.
Old school perversion in a new school way, and that's exactly what it is. Now, this very common sense, very logical, very community-minded thought means that all of a sudden all the police that do fantastic work chasing down these perverts have less work to do because the courts don't have to sit there and say every time, well, what is Snapchat? How does it work? Bring me an expert to put on some evidence that explains this. Now we can just say, look, here's a legal judgment that says what Snapchat is, how it works, and that at law it's the same as flashing. Move on. It's just going to cut down so much time for police, so much time for courts, so much time for juries, and make it harder for perverts to get away with this sort of thing.
What do you get for something like this?
What in Athens get? I'm going to have to look at the screen while I'm talking to you guys. 20-month prison term. So it all depends how many you send and who you're sending to. In Athens' case, he was trying to get girls that were late teens but lower than the age of consent. If you were doing this to young children, if you were the sort that gets arrested by the Joint Anti-Child Exploitation Team, the real hardcore people, then you're looking at years in prison for this sort of thing. So it's a fantastic development, and one of those times that South Australian law's actually ahead of the pack, because my understanding is no other state on the mainland has a judgment like this on the books.
Yeah. Is it the laws that are ahead or the game, or is it just some magistrates that are wise?
Well, in this case, it's a matter of the laws always existed, but how do you apply it?
Sure.
Have you applied it in a way that means that it's keeping up with technology? And you've always got two options. You can either get a legal judgment that says, come on, people, let's think about applying what exists to what is now, or you can try to write a new law. Once upon a time, it was always about applying the law properly. In the last 20 years, it's felt like everything's been a push-pull fight between the courts and the politicians as to who's going to claim the scalp for being responsible for changing the law. Now we've got, like I say, this common-sense judgment that's come out of the case and will have the precedent effect on every other case to follow.
Great analysis, as always. Sean Fuster, the Chief Court Reporter for The Advertiser. Great to catch up with you, mate.
Thanks, guys.
It's coming up to 16 minutes to 8. A few texts, perhaps, on the Automasters text line.
One here saying, if you think Jetstar are doing a bad job at the moment, can I recommend the Four Corners expose on Qantas's race to the bottom this week? I watched that. It was pretty grim viewing about the way the airline has outsourced so many things that it once relied upon. I thought it was a little bit skewed. I mean, part of the reason that Qantas did that was to try to make itself leaner, to make prices lower and to give bigger returns for shareholders, both of which happened prior to the pandemic. But now the pandemic has really sort of exposed a lot of those cuts as tactically weaknesses for the airline as it tries to claw its way off the mat.
We'll collate some more information for you at 8:30 today. We might run through the flights that have been delayed and cancelled by Jetstar, and we'll get across that as well. It's 15 to 8.
When does the giving begin?
I think the clue begins in just a minute. Let's check traffic first until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fuelled. T's and C's apply.
Thanks, Will. At Redwater Park, Milne Road is closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue due to a serious accident. Crash investigators on the scene there. Halloran Hill, another collision. This one's on Main South Road near Majors Road with debris in the road. And Wavell, expect delays a little bit later in the morning around Green Hill Road and Goodwood Road. That's for the Royal Adelaide show. And keep in mind, speeds go down to 25 when the show is on. The ICC Men's T20 World Cup is coming to Adelaide in October. Adults from $20, kids from just $5. Tickets at t20worldcup.com. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It's a frightening thought. But what if you lost capacity to manage your financial affairs? If you're not at the helm, who makes medical or health decisions? Who gets your superannuation? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes to the letter. Wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Great news for people on the move. Budget Car and Truck Rental have a new location just north of the city at 354 North East Road, Clemzig. Open 7 days a week. So, if you're moving out or in, taking a load to the tip or going on a big trip, you can do it all with Budget Car and Truck Rental. 7 metro locations, including their new site at Clemzig. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
Now, are you a cask water drinker? Do you make the regular trek to the shops to haul those heavy boxes home?
Don't do it to yourself. Save your money on chiropractic services. About 10 odd kilos on one side, groceries on the other. There is a better way.
There's a better way. There's a much easier way. There's a cheaper way too. Because these days a cask of water sets you back well over $5. Lasts maybe a week at home or in your office if you're lucky. That adds up quickly to hundreds of dollars over the year.
It does, and if you want clean, refreshing drinking water without the hassle, just switch to Puritap, because once you set up, it's about $6 a month to maintain, and that gives you unlimited, fresh, clean drinking water on tap.
So look, there's no need to waste time, plastic and money on cask water and bottles. Get the taste without the waste and switch to Puritap.
It's easy to get set up, and there's some stunning designer taps to choose from.
That's right. Switch and save today. Give Puritap a call on 133 502.
Need a forklift? Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Toyota is the world's #1 forklift brand with a great range of pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options, Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 8. John Blake coming up in a moment. A clue in our competition to send you off to the AFL Grand Final is not far away either. Clue number 3. This is a good one. This really gives you something to chew over. But first, Pat and Dry Creek's called in. Morning to you, Pat.
Yeah, g'day, guys. Look, I just want to talk about Anne Moran. Personally, I'd like to... You guys are ragging on her pretty hard, and so is everyone else. So I'd like to hear her side of the story. I mean, it's not uncommon for the media. I'm not saying you guys do it all the time, but you have done in the past where you get a bit overzealous and accusing people of something and not having the full facts. So that's my point. I'd just like to hear her side of the story before I criticise, and it would be a good idea if other people done that too.
Yeah, that's fair enough, Pat.
Yeah,
We'll try to line up a chat with her. Don't know how amenable she'll be to coming on, but we'll try to talk to her.
Good on you, Pat. Thank you.
We have tried in the past. We have spoken to her quite a few times.
Number of times. 8223000 is our number. Pat, like everyone else who calls in this morning, in the running to win a Samtas seafood voucher as well. We'll give that away before 9 o'clock. We'll give away a clue before 8 o'clock. So that's coming up in just a couple of moments' time. Now, we have some match information from our basketball team. Our North Flame girls, 5AA Breakfast Zone basketball side. Final game of the regular season up against West Adelaide Bearcats down at Port. The girls came out strong, played a great game, took home another win. They're just romping their way to nationals.
They haven't lost yet.
Not since we've been on board. No. We can pick a winner and a bandwagon. Another a big win. The Flames won by 50, crushing them. Good night. That's 76-26.
That's a big margin in basketball.
Well, I like too. They held them to 26. That is just putting the clamps on them on the defensive end. Semi-finals this Friday night. The Flames take on the Eastern Mavericks. Massive game. The winners go straight through to the grand final. So thank you to the girls for the update. Looking forward to following them all the way to the invite-only Nationals competition. They're doing a wonderful job, and it's nice to see so many people have gotten on board to make it a reality that this is the highest representative competition an underage girls team can go to in the country. It's invite-only. They're going to be playing against the biggest clubs going around the place, and 5AA Breakfast is on board, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is a winner.
This is good. When's the granny? How long?
Well, if the granny for the local season, they go straight through. So it sounds like there'll be another week off.
Yeah, right. Okay.
In between, we can refreshen up.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's all about load management. You don't want to get too many minutes into the legs ahead of the big national competition.
Always said that about basketball.
You're a big load management guy. It's controversial because fans want to see the Stars play. Anyway, that's a debate for another time. I think we're going to make an appearance in a training next week.
Yeah.
So if anything can derail their season, it's probably something like the two least athletic people in South Australia turning up for a basketball training.
We're going to give a motivational speech. I'm thinking of take along some extracts from Terry Wallace and Year of the Dog for the girls.
My first thought was Al Pacino Any Given Sunday, and then I thought that's probably inappropriate for a junior girls basketball team.
Bob Carr read Marcus Aurelius out loud at blues training once in Coffs Harbour. The entire New South Wales creme de la creme of rugby league was standing there staring at him. They had no idea what he was talking about. It was superb.
Could be something like that. Anyway, that's going to be a lot of fun. They're a magnificent team. It's been a lot of fun having them on board. Us being on board with their success, actually. Let's get it clear, the language. Now, it's 8 minutes to 8, and time for some John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing, and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
Now, the latest news with Wallace Fogg. Good morning, early risers. This is Wallace Fogg with another 5AA News Update. The Malinauskas government has finally announced the location of the new North Adelaide Aquatic Centre, and it's caused some confusion. A government spokesperson said a lot of people seem confused by the terminology being used, the southwest corner of the northern parklands. It seems the new location has been variously misunderstood to be somewhere near the railway line at Ovingham, in the middle of the 14th fairway on the North Adelaide Golf Course, and some even thinking it was going to be somewhere adjacent to Anzac Highway, which would of course make the name North Adelaide Aquatic Centre somewhat wrong. The spokesperson said our mistake was to make the new location terminology too complicated for normal people. It would have been a lot simpler if we just said it'll be built 45 metres to the left. In other news, Channel 10 is spruiking its new reality show, which they say will be a blockbuster. The Challenge Australia, according to Channel 10, will feature 20 of Australia's most talked about celebrities. When a list of the names and photographs of the celebrities was posted online by Channel 10, most people commenting said online, "We haven't heard of any of them." Perhaps that's the challenge. And finally this morning, with the shock news of beloved current affair host Tracy Grimshaw retiring, Carl Stefanovic has praised Tracy's professionalism and longevity and also said she can drink me under the table. Apparently, according to Carl, publicly announcing on a national TV show that Tracy Grimshaw is a bigger pisspot than he is in his eyes some sort of compliment. Some of the front runners for Tracy's jobs are Georgie Gardner, Layla McKinnon and Sylvia Jeffries. Carl Stefanovic apparently said they'd all be perfect for the job because, boy, can they all put the grog away. And that's the news for this Wednesday. I'm Wallace Fogg. More 5AA news coming up at 8 o'clock, or as close as we can get.
5 minutes to 8, heavy rain started at Kadina. Text on the Automasters text line. The rain is well and truly on the way. Forecast to be heavy late morning here in Adelaide with the potential for a storm a little bit later in the day. We'll keep an eye on that for you over the course of the morning as there are any developments. But right now,
'Cause there's one day in September.
it's time for a clue. Not a guess. We'll give you a chance to guess and win the tickets to the AFL Grand Final after 8 o'clock. But Sam Dado has a very dramatically named envelope. Clue number 3, it says.
Clue number 3.
In big letters, which is an insight into the kind of prep that has to go into making sure we know what's going on the program. Big letters, block letters, simple information. Clue number 3 for your chance to work out who it is that's got your tickets. AFL footballer.
South Australian.
South Australian. We've got a couple of clues.
Retired.
Clue number 3. I might turn down Mike Brady so we can get a sense of, the moment. Clue number 3. Team colour includes white.
Okay.
Team colour includes white. Which means for mine, it's not a Crow.
Could be a Port player there, because it's teal, black and white.
Could be a Collingwood player. Could be
could be
a Sydney player. Could be
a Freo player.
Yep.
So it couldn't be a West Coast player because they're blue and gold.
Couldn't be Hawthorn.
Couldn't be Hawthorn. Could it be the Suns? Have they got white?
I don't believe so. Okay.
So it could be Collingwood. It could be Carlton because they're navy and white. It could be the Western Bulldogs because they're red, white and blue. Could be Geelong, as Sam said.
Interesting. Team colour includes... Well, it begins to
not a Crow.
Nail things down.
So it's not Wayne Wiedemann then?
All right. More... Well, satisfies other clues, that's for sure. 8223 0055 will be the number after 8 o'clock for your chance to win. Have it ready to go in your phone. We'll be doing it over the course of the next hour on the program. That's your clue for today.
Not a Brisbane Lion either?
No. Okay. It's now coming up to 3 minutes to 8. Your chance to win
Good clue.
is not too far away. That number again, 8223 0055.
That wasn't the thing I read on your notes either.
What did you read?
No, just move.
Actually, don't say it out loud. Might be a furphy, a red herring.
You did that to throw me off the scent.
Exactly right. What do they do? What's that operation called? Where you plant a bit of false information to work out who's leaking? Like a sting?
Yeah.
That's what we did.
I sometimes do that with political documents where they'll put identifying markers on party room or caucus briefing notes, and then when they get leaked to the media, because sometimes people say to journalists, can you show me a copy of the thing you're referring to? And they'll put like a little asterisk or something, a stray note on it, and they'll go, okay, it was a, insert name here.
2 minutes to 8.
It's hard to get excited about anything when you have to wait. Buy a new car? Wait. Build a home? Wait. Buy a new lounge? Wait. Delayed gratification. It's everywhere. But not at Bob Burns Blinds. At Bob Burns Blinds, we have a 10-day installation promise. Our quality roller blinds are made right here in SA, not interstate. So instead of waiting 3 months or more for your roller blinds, we'll do it in 10 days. And that's a promise. bobburnsblinds.com.au.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments, including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available now on the Nissan Navara SL 4x4 Dual Cab Auto with more models to come. Plan confidently for the road ahead with Nissan Future Value Business Plus. Visit nissan.com.au/business plus or contact your local Nissan dealer. Approved ABN registered small to medium fleet applicants of Nissan Financial Services. T's and C's and exclusions apply.
Now, Will, I know that you don't sing in the shower, but I tell you what, if there was anything that's going to get people singing in the shower, it's our great friends at EcoVantage.
That's right, saving your money, saving the environment, and it could be for as little as no cost to you. You'd be silly not to. Not singing. Going to get this EcoVantage systems installed. Electric hot water systems make up about 40% of our home power bills every year, but EcoVantage, they can pump this right down.
That's right. Well, thanks to federal and SA government incentives, EcoVantage, they can install your energy-efficient heat pump and they can save you thousands. What it means is that for little to no out-of-pocket cost, EcoVantage can swap your hot water system for an energy-efficient heat pump that uses about 80% less power. It's better for the environment and it's much better for your power bills.
Pump your power bills down with EcoVantage. Head to ecovantage.com.au to find out how you could take advantage of government incentives today. T's and C's apply.
Jason Clark from Simons Clark Logistics talks about One Solution and how they streamlined his business.
We were lacking an integrated approach to our IT. We needed support and to future-proof our business. Security was also a concern for us. One Solution assessed and designed a new reliable, failure-safe solution for our business. Combined with the local help desk, IT support at Simons Clark is now in a great position for the future.
Visit onesolution.net.au, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Rain and a possible storm, a high of 19. With the 8 o'clock news, I'm Kendall Brettig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight Friday.
A man will face court today charged with murder following the death of a woman at Parkholme yesterday. Emergency crews were called to a Condata Avenue home where the victim, Louise Hughes, was found collapsed and unresponsive. She died soon after. A 33-year-old man who lived there was arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. The pair knew each other but were not in a relationship. Police are investigating a serious accident at Redwood Park this morning. A motorcycle crashed on Milne Road just after 3. Major crash investigators are at the scene. And 5 teenagers have died in a crash southwest of Sydney. More from Madeline McNeil.
Emergency services were met with a confronting scene at Buxton, arriving to find a Nissan utility in a crumpled heap. 6 people were inside the vehicle when it left the road and hit a tree. All 5 passengers, 3 females and 2 males, believed to be in their late teens, died at the scene. The 18-year-old driver escaped with non-life-threatening injuries. He's been taken for mandatory testing.
Police have raided a property at Cherry Gardens after a tip-off. It was at the centre of a drug trafficking operation. Senior Constable Matt Brown says 300 ecstasy tablets and drug-making equipment have been seized.
The search by police uncovered a manual pill press machine, several punches and dies and casts for the different markings on the tablets, binding agents, other items used in the making of ecstasy, about 50 grams of ecstasy crystals.
Hundreds of childcare centres around the country are being swept up in industrial action today as staff prepare to walk off the job. They'll rally on the steps of Parliament House at 3 p.m. The United Workers Union's Helen Gibbons says they've had enough.
Early educators have turned up to work every day and they've come out of the lockdown exhausted, feeling undervalued and overlooked by the federal government, and they're over it. They're voting with their feet. They're leaving the sector. We've got an enormous shortage of workforce all across the country. Children are being turned away because there's not enough staff.
Proposed changes to pension rules are expected to increase the number of older Australians downsizing their homes. Labor's introducing legislation which will slash the deeming rate to 0.25%, down from 2.25%. It'll also offer pensioners an extra 12 months to spend the proceeds of their sale before their pension's affected. Social Services Minister Amanda Rishworth says it'll reduce the financial impact of selling your home.
More than 8,000 pensioners downsized last year, and so we hope that number will significantly increase as a result of this legislation.
Liz Truss has delivered her first speech as Britain's Prime Minister. During the address out the front of number 10 Downing Street, she pledged to transform the country. She's also paid tribute to her predecessor.
Boris Johnson delivered Brexit, the COVID vaccine, and stood up to Russian aggression. History will see him as a hugely consequential Prime Minister.
The manhunt for the last suspect wanted over a deadly stabbing rampage in remote Canada is into its third day. More from Jonathan Kersley.
Local media say police had been moving into the James Smith Cree Nation, the Indigenous community in Canada, where 9 people were found dead 2 days ago. There had been a possible sighting of suspect Miles Sanderson, and police warned people on the land in the remote part of the Saskatchewan province to shelter. But police have since said it was a false alarm and his whereabouts remains unknown. The province's Premier, Scott Moe, has spoken to local media.
And I have no doubt that the RCMP and the relevant authorities will find him.
The other brother accused over this deadly crime, Damien Sanderson, was found dead yesterday.
A woman in India has suffered serious injuries while fighting off a tiger to save her 15-month-old baby. She grappled with the tiger with her bare hands for a few minutes before villagers heard her cries for help and intervened. Both mother and son are receiving treatment in hospital. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Gliderol roller door and operator by September 30 for some free upgrades. Search Gliderol for details.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. The trade period doesn't begin for another month, but there's plenty of action happening behind the scenes. Port Adelaide has flagged interest in Junior Rioli and Josh Dunkley, but he is also set to swoop on Geelong forward Francis Evans, while the Crows are all out for Isaac Rankin. Meantime, Jack Revolt and Trent Cotchin have signed on with Richmond for 1 more year. Jordan Tunbridge reports.
The Tigers have rewarded Jack Revolt with a new contract after another solid season in attack. Approaching his 34th birthday, the key forward agrees to a 1-year deal, having booted 40 goals from 21 games in 2022.
I feel a bit embarrassed how much this has sort of been blown up a little bit. I'm just an old codger that's got to the end of my career that's just going to roll around again, so it's very exciting.
Revolt telling Fox Footy he had no problem taking a big pay cut to stay at Punt Road.
I'm not playing for any sort of financial gain, really. I'm playing to hopefully win another premiership.
Triple premiership teammate Trent Cotchin also commits to playing on next season.
Tennis now, and Ayla Tomljanovic has gone down in her quarter-final clash against Ons Jabeur at the US Open, losing 4-6, 6-7. Nick Kyrgios comes up against Karen Khachanov in the next couple of hours. To cricket, Australia's taken a 1-0 series lead against New Zealand in their ODI series in Cairns, thanks to a brilliant 158-run partnership between Alex Carey and Cameron Green. Chasing 233 to win, the Aussies were in all sorts at 5 for 44, but Carey made 85 while Green was unbeaten on 89 to help guide the Aussies home by 2 wickets. The Matildas have lost 2-1 against Canada in a friendly in Sydney overnight. Meantime, mixed results for the English sides in Champions League action this morning. Manchester City winning 4-0 against Sevilla, but Chelsea lost 1-0 to Dinamo Zagreb. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
At Redwater Park, we've got Milne Road currently closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue due to a serious accident. O'Halloran Hill, smash on Main South Road near Majors Road. Look out for debris on the road there. And Wavell, expect delays a little later in the morning around Green Hill Road and Goodwood Road. That's due to the Royal Show. And keep in mind when the Royal Show is on, speeds are down to 25 around the area. Look out for a camera 2 on the drive-in. Cliff Street's at Glengarry. Tomorrow is Are You OK Day? A reminder that every day is the day to ask, are you okay? No qualifications needed because a conversation could change a life. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm today, a high of 19. Showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 16, and an early shower or two for Saturday, 16. At the moment, 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 minutes after 8, breaking 8, not too far away. Your chance to win tickets to the AFL Grand Final. Another clue was given away just before 8 o'clock, so another guess, another chance to win those tickets is coming up very, very shortly. They might even go off in the next, who knows, half an hour. We'll take you through some of the stories of the morning, including Jetstar cancellations bound for and out of Adelaide, and we'll get you across a host of other things that have developed over the course of the morning and two, including a bizarre scenario about how alcohol is set to be sold at the World Cup in Qatar. It's going to be a pretty unique old experience if you want to have a beer and go and watch a match.
You have to register interest in advance in having a beer or something like that,
I'll take you through it. It's more about the timing, but we'll take you through it in just a moment. The other thing that's going to happen is we're going to chat with Amber Ann before 9 o'clock today. She'll join us on the program to talk about the allegation she's made against the Tizer that they've printed on page 3, I think, this morning, with regard to the timing of a story about Armand's meeting with his father, it being somehow politically motivated. We'll talk more about that in about 40 minutes' time. It's time for Breaking 8.
Well, the other big story on the local government front, and it came as a bit of a surprise yesterday, was confirmation at the close of nominations for the Lord Mayoralty race, with the election coming up in a few weeks' time, that the former Lord Mayor of Adelaide, two-time Lord Mayor of Adelaide, and well-regarded one at that, Dr. Jane Lomax-Smith, has thrown her hat in the ring. Dr. Lomax-Smith, who served in several portfolios. From memory, she was Education Minister, Tourism Minister and Science Minister during the Round Labor government, when she held the seat of Adelaide, state seat, for about a decade, has decided to make a political comeback. We have Dr. Lomax-Smith on the line now. Dr. Lomax-Smith, thank you for joining us this morning. What was it that made you decide to try to re-enter politics?
Well, it's a pretty unexpected move, I know, but I think it's time for a radical reset at the City Council. I've been concerned that so many residents have been shocked and alienated by the council, and the business community keeps telling me that they're just irrelevant. And frankly, as a South Australian and someone who loves the city, I desperately want our capital City Council to be relevant and responsive, and to find ways of just making sure that the city is the best place in the world to live and a good place to do business. And I'm concerned that we have lacked clarity, and we really, really, at the moment when there are so many difficulties in the city, we really deserve a laser-like focus on the critical problems. I think the retail sector's in decline. Offices are barely full because so many people are working at home, and of course there's a crisis in affordable housing. And frankly, I'd like the council to get on with the job, and I think that I'm prepared to give it a go and see if I can help them work more collaboratively. I'm not factionally aligned. I don't have any axe to grind. I'm not looking for future aggrandisement, and I've picked up a few skills over the years.
What's an example of where you see that the council's influence or relevance has waned?
Well, I think that with all the issues I've spoken of, the council doesn't actually have the power beyond roads, rates and rubbish to deal with those big ticket items. If you're going to repurpose office blocks to use them as residential, it requires planning changes, it requires legislation. If you want to work on ways to find affordable housing, the council has vacant land, it can do deals with developers, it can work with the federal or the state government. But all of those activities require collaboration, and one of the challenges for the council is that they often change their mind. It produces a difficulty in doing business with them, and one of the challenges is that without a clear focus on what needs to be done, so often the bureaucratic body that supports them lacks the direction, and then the problem is that the outcomes become slow, they become fuzzy around the edges, and there's no accountability. So you really do need to have a collaborative approach. And one of the things I learned over the years being in council, being in government,
is that the people in the chamber who don't necessarily vote like as you do, they're still decent human beings, and you have to be respectful of their constituency and who they represent and what they're trying to do. And I reflect on the people that voted absolutely diametrically opposite to me for many years, and I've still remained friends with them. And I just think that if it can shake up the council to make maybe have a higher turnout at the election so that there's more legitimacy in the new council, it's time to just think again and start focusing on the problems the city has.
Can we ask you, Jane Lomax-Smith, for your thoughts about Anne Moran's comments today? We're going to be chatting to her later in the program, but the comments that she's made about the timing of the Advertiser article about Aman Ibrahimzadeh?
Everybody's challenged during elections. It's an emotional time. And I think that when you're really committed and you want to work for the city, it's difficult not to feel aggrieved if you think someone's getting an easier time. I can understand it. It's not always smart to criticise people, and it's not always appropriate. And I've learned over the years that when you're insulted, when the media get it wrong, when the papers print something that's not true, you tend to let it just wash over you because it's not worth the fight. You need to get on with the job.
Doesn't feel like that's what has happened here, though. Like the paper printed an article that had nothing to do with Anne Moran.
No, I just think that people get very emotional during elections, and you just have to understand that. I think that
maybe we need a bit less emotion then at the council level, and a bit of your trademark sang-fra to get things back on an even keel.
Well, I do think that sometimes you have to just suck it up and get on with the job. And I think that it's clearly a sign that people love the city and they want to do the best for it and they want to be re-elected. So I think that we just have to recognise that. At the end of the day, the council, whoever's elected, has to find a way of finding common ground. And from my point of view, I think that we can only have good outcomes if we find the things we agree on and recognise there will be some things we will fight over and argue about. There's nothing wrong with arguing. I know that people feel passionate, as I do, about the parklands. I get really offended when people want to build commercial developments or residential accommodation on the parklands. I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, you have to live with and work with people who disagree with you. And if you can't find common ground, you can't deliver. And frankly, I think the public don't want people to bicker and argue. They want them to see what they can agree on and get on with it.
Just finally, Jane Lomax-Smith, given your long involvement with the Labor Party and the fact that you did serve as a senior minister under Premier Mike Rann, are you still a Labor member? And would it be wrong for people to regard you as effectively the Labor candidate for Lord Mayor?
I think that no government would actually like me being Lord Mayor because they know that I'll stand up to them about the parklands. I feel strongly about planning, and I can be very committed to the things I believe in. And from that point of view, I'm no walkover for anyone. I just remind you that even when I was in Cabinet, I was opposing building a 200-metre long grandstand on Victoria Park.
But can I ask, though, sorry to press, but can I ask you, are you still...
Yes, I am still a member.
Yeah, okay. Yep. No, that's fair enough.
But I don't think anyone will be pulling my strings.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Well, look, we had Rex Patrick on, we had Sandy Vashore on, now I've had you on, Dr. Jane Lomax-Smith, former Lord Mayor, trying to become the Lord Mayor again for a third time. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Great to speak to you. All the best. Bye-bye.
17 minutes after 8. We will be chatting with Anne Moran before 9 o'clock this morning. We've got another opportunity for you to win grand final tickets. It's not too far away either. But first, it's time for Fuel Watch. Download the free My RAA app today to find the cheapest fuel in an instant. The X-Convenience North East Road Hillcrest is $1.45.5. The Liberty Marion Road Marion, $1.45.5 also. A little bit more expensive, but still cheap at the OTR Salisbury Highway, Salisbury Downs, $1.45.9. The cheapest diesel, United South Road, Melrose Park, is $1.91.9. time to check traffic until your new BMW arrives. Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
Thanks, Will. At Redwood Park, Milne Road is closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue. That's due to a serious accident. Crash investigators on scene. O'Halloran Hill, residual delays from Elliot Smash, Main South Road near Majors Road. Debris on the road. And Wavell, expect a few delays later in the morning. It's around Greenhill Road and Goodwood Road for the Royal Adelaide Show. And keep in mind when the show is open, speeds are at 25 around the area. The Advertiser is for helping you combat the cost of living. So pick up your copy of The Advertiser today for your exclusive September daily deals at Coles. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Tim Ginniver now joins Stephen Rowe every afternoon for the New Look 5AA Sports Show.
He is the 2022 McGarry medalist. Aaron Young, congratulations, mate.
Well done, son. Thanks, guys.
10 years of senior footy. You think this was your best individual season?
Yeah, obviously stands out as probably my best individual year so far. So, yeah, it's been really exciting.
Rowie and Timmy G.
It was pretty surreal, and this morning I had to pinch myself that it's happened.
4 p.m. weekdays on 5AA.
Uncle Mark, geez, he was a character.
He was larger than life. Remember that bright yellow Holden of his?
The HQ GTS, great car, when it was running.
Yeah.
And those fishing stories he'd tell up the river.
And did you notice that the one that got away got bigger every year?
On the bright side, I'll finally get my trailer back. The bugger's had it for 6 months.
To Uncle Mark, one of a kind.
A unique life deserves a distinctive funeral. distinctivefunerals.com.au.
G'day, it's Baz from FIVEAA Milk Company. Just wanted to make sure you knew that our milk only comes from SA dairy farmers. So make sure the milk you buy is only from SA dairy farms. Because you see, no matter how tough it gets out there, our dairy farmers always put you first. So let's support them. Look for FIVEAA Milk Company products in your supermarket. 3 words make all the difference. FIVEAA Milk Company. South Australian first and proud of it. Now, we love a South Australian success story, and that's exactly what Bob Burns Blinds is. The man himself, Bob Burns, made his first blind in 1954. They feel like they've always been part of life here in South Australia. And the great news is that the Burns family, they're still manufacturing at St Mary's. Will and I were lucky enough to go out there last week for a tour.
Love meeting and touring the facilities of great family businesses as well, because you can't replicate the knowledge that's handed down and the care that's handed down when it's something that your family's always owned. It just treats you to an extra level of service and quality. And a new generation has joined the company. You've got Russ on Belinda there now, along with their highly qualified staff, making a formidable team of passionate people.
And it's so reassuring to know that you're dealing with local South Aussies and that pretty much everything they make is made here. And look, they do it all. Exterior blinds, interior blinds, curtains, motorisation, security products, even shutters.
And they can do things that no others can because they manufacture on site. So if you want your roller blinds, you're going to get them measured up. They can have that done. They'll make them and install them all within just 10 days.
That's right. You could be waiting up to 3 months with other companies, but because Bob Blinds manufacture here, you can have them in just 10 days. That's the Bob Burns 10-day promise. Visit bobburnsblinds.com.au.
Is it possible to create tomorrow's car today? Hyundai believes so. Take the Tucson, Hyundai's midsize SUV, featuring a revolutionary look, intuitive interior, advanced tech, and safety. You can enjoy all this in the Tucson Turbo Diesel all-wheel drive. Available now. Tomorrow's car is here today. Hyundai Tucson, in stock now. Visit Hyundai.com.au. Imagine that. Hyundai.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide, for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes after 8. A slew of Jetstar flights into and out of Adelaide cancelled. Had a few people, ex-workers, make the point to us that some of these are the same craft. So it's the plane that was inbound that would be outbound later is the same one. So it's one plane being cancelled, but it means 2 disruptions of service for people returning to or exiting from Adelaide. If you're affected, call us. We'd like to hear what the situation's been for you. What's the communication been like? How difficult is the whole process of getting to go where you need to go been for you? Is it a holiday that's been stuffed up? Let us know. We'd like to hear from you. 8223 0000. That's going on today. Another one to keep a mind out for today is this childcare workers strike that's going to take place. It's going to affect some centres for a full day, Others are just going to do part of the day. Staff will go to Parliament House today to talk about the crisis facing the sector. Parents being asked to keep kids at home. They want actually parents and kids to join the rally. That is the United Workers Union. Some people are being paid as little as $24 an hour despite having qualifications to work in the sector, and that's what they want to raise awareness about today. But that's going on in Adelaide today. You might see it at Parliament House, or you might notice it in your own sphere.
The other story
closing.
The other story I'm interested in hearing from listeners about, and obviously here talking specifically about listeners on the FIVEAA Peninsula. Look at this piece in the Tiser today. FIVEAA Peninsula residents have described hearing explosions and felt their houses shaking on Tuesday, speculating that weapons testing at the Port Wakefield Proof Range was the cause. There's a chap called Maurice Corcoran who jumped on Facebook saying his house was rattling every 15 minutes, better go to Specsavers again, I misread that number. He says that the explosions seem to be getting louder and more frequent with the house rattling significantly. So if the earth has moved for you on the FIVEAA Peninsula, folks, and if you've got a theory as to what's actually causing it, drive you mad, wouldn't it? You know,
surely. I mean, I know they don't want to raise awareness of, potentially sensitive weapons testing, but some sort of warning out to residents wouldn't be a go astray, would it?
I would have thought so.
I mean, you could do it in a way that's not going to, raise the interest of intelligence agencies, surely.
Yeah.
If you're in the FIVEAA Peninsula and you've heard these bangs, describe it to us what it's like. 8223 Text us on the Automasters text line, but if you call in, you've got the added bonus of potentially winning yourself a Samtas seafood voucher. You could potentially win yourself a grand final ticket and trip if you call in right now on 8223
'Cause there's one day in September.
That's the number. Get calling, 8223 We're through 3 clues now. Had one just before 8 o'clock, so you've had a bit of time to think about it. And if it doesn't go off right here and now, it'll go off at some point in time before the grand final, but we'll certainly have another clue for you tomorrow morning. But there's a chance to have a crack at it here and now. 8223 I think the first couple of clues were vague. They did narrow it down in terms of the entire history of footballers in this country, but this one, I think, gives you a little bit more to chew over, a little bit more to apply your mind to. It starts becoming more science and less stab in the dark at this point of the competition.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty stabby, but, at least you can say you gave it a good thought.
Yeah,
8223 and if you don't get through right now, well worth you just having that number prepared in your phone, because we could say it at any time over the course of the morning that it's such opportunity to win the tickets, and you want to be able to be first on the blower and get through to have a guess. It's hard. You play the psychological game of this too a bit. Start thinking, who are they going to come up with? What kind of person would they come up with?
I got no idea. Nothing to do with me.
You started snooping around the office looking for clues, which was a bit of a revelation that I wasn't prepared for this morning.
That's right.
Have to keep things under lock and key around this joint in the future. Ross in Prospect's the first caller through. Morning to you, Ross.
Good morning, boys. Thanks for having me.
No, not at all, Ross. Thanks for calling in. Good on you getting through, mate. As we've been saying, though, the degree of difficulty early in the comp is profoundly high, so it'll be some sort of miracle if you pull it off, mate.
All right. I reckon it's Matthew Pavlich.
Matthew Pavlich. Well, we just played a grab for him at 7:20. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Freo has white in their jumper.
South Australian, yes. Retired, yes.
Kidman Park, yes.
Known here on... Is that a clue?
Doesn't get any more South Australian
than
Kidman
I
Park.
thought you were revealing a future clue.
Great pizza bar.
Okay. Matthew Pavlich. Sorry, Ross. It was a quality guess. A quality guess.
It was a good guess. Every part of it was true. Or accurate.
White is one of Freo's official colours. So that they'd qualify Matthew Pavlich. Thank you for that, Ross. Another clue coming tomorrow morning on the program, and another chance to win. He was confident, Ross, too. He wasn't hanging around for chit-chat. He wanted to get straight to the guessing.
Yeah, no. There was no pleasantries there.
No,
just,
it's down to business. We like that. Okay,
not here for a haircut, not here to make friends.
Clue number 4 tomorrow. Another chance to win tomorrow morning on 5AA Breakfast. We'll take a break. And we'll get you through, get you across some of the developing stories in Adelaide and around the world next.
Last month, we serviced around 11,000 vehicles, more than 3,000 Toyotas, Camrys, Corollas, Land Cruisers, 2,000 Mitsubishis, Tritons, Outlanders, Pajeros, over 500 VWs. That's right, over 11,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Automasters, isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters or book online. All centres offer repair now, pay later options. So switch and save with Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Hey, it's Callum here. Looking for something small, medium or large? Edwardstown Mazda have most models in stock, ready to drive away. You can feel confident in the team at Edwardstown Mazda.
It's gotta be
edwardstownmazda.com.au, LNVD 207428.
Speak with One Solution and they'll tell you cybercrime is not a big business problem, a government problem or a small enterprise problem. It's everyone's problem. Ransomware, malware and adware remain the #1 threat. One call to One Solution will put your business in a safe place. It's the smartest, most cost-effective business decision you'll ever make. Get in touch with One Solution, winner of the National Telstra Customer Experience Award. onesolution.net.au.
G'day, it's Eddie May from NRG Solar. Don't you hate it when things are out of your control, like electricity prices? They're skyrocketing, and if you've just received your winter power bill, you'll know exactly what I mean. With NRG Solar on your roof, combined with battery storage, you could zero out those power bills altogether. Visit nrgsolar.com.au today and take control of your power bills for good. That's nrgsolar.com.au or visit our interactive showroom at 406 South Road at Richmond.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage bottle top collection? The cricket bat you scored your first ton with? Or that precious family heirloom that's been handed down from generation to generation? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, one thing is certain. You can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
Last month, around 11,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Automasters, logbook servicing, repairs, brakes, aircon and more. Isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Rain and a possible storm, a high of 19. With the 8:30 news, I'm Kendall Brattig.
Don't miss 8 Audi bonus draws in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery. Deadline is midnight Friday.
Court today for a man charged with the murder of a woman at Parkholme. Louise Hughes was found collapsed and unresponsive at a Condata Avenue home yesterday morning. Despite attempts to revive her, she died at the scene. A 33-year-old man who lived there was arrested and charged with murder and breach of bail. Police say the pair know each other, but were not in a relationship. Crash investigators are at the scene of a motorcycle accident at Redwood Park. Just after 3 a.m, a motorcyclist crashed on Milne Road. Traffic diversions will be in place for most of the morning. Police have described the harrowing scenes at the site of an horrific crash south of Sydney where 5 teenagers were killed. The passengers, all aged between 14 and 16, had been in a Nissan Navara when the 18-year-old driver lost control and hit a tree. The ute ripped apart on impact. The driver is the only survivor. Police Superintendent Paul Fuller says parents rushed to the scene.
We had families turning up at the scene last night who had found out through social media that their kids may have been involved in this crash. We had a family liaison officer there from the Crash Investigation Unit who worked with the families to identify these children.
There's some wild weather on the way. It's already raining in the Ceduna area and we'll start to cop it from late morning or early this afternoon. Simon Timke from the Bureau says it's hard to determine exactly when it'll reach us.
We've got a radar at Ceduna and obviously our radar here just to the north of the city at Buckland Park. So as it moves over Eyre Peninsula, we sort of can't see it quite so well when it's between those two radars. So that can make it a little bit tricky as well.
South Australian childcare workers will walk off the job today as part of a nationwide strike. More from Michaela Kamarik.
Hundreds of childcare workers will gather on the steps of Parliament House from 3 p.m. this afternoon. They're protesting for better working conditions and improved pay, with some earning as little as $24 an hour. Some centres will shut for a full day, others for part of the day, and some centres will have skeleton staff on hand in case families turn up. The union is asking parents to support the strike, insisting it's about improving care for their kids.
Millions of Australians will get cost of living relief as the price of prescription medicines is reduced. The maximum cost of a drug listed on the PBS will drop to $30 a script. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says legislation will be introduced today and prices will come down from the 1st of January next year.
We met with the Pharmacy Guild a number of times to talk through these issues, to come to the position that we did. And this is a practical difference which will make a difference to cost of living.
A concussion expert says action needs to be taken to protect our kids from head knocks. More from Brady Evans.
A Harvard-educated concussion expert wants major football codes to ban tackling in children's sport until the age of 14. He's concerned Australia is falling behind the US and Britain in protecting kids' brains. The US Soccer Federation banned heading for children aged 10 or under in 2015. Neuroscientist Dr. Chris Nowinski is warning Australian families about the prevalence of CTE, which is linked to repetitive head trauma. He's told the Herald no sport should allow repetitive head impacts before the age of 14.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Order a Glider Roll roller door by September 30 and you could get free upgrades. Search Glider Roll for details.
And here's Tom Wren.
Thank you for that, Kendall. The AFL boss is defending a decision to put Saturday night games behind a paywall. The league's new 7-year, $4.5 billion TV deal will see Saturday night games for the first 8 rounds broadcast exclusively on Foxtel. The deal with Seven and the pay TV provider was signed off early yesterday morning. Chief Executive Gillon McLachlan saying people's viewing habits are changing.
Saturday is our lowest audience day of the week. Thursdays are bigger, Fridays are bigger, Sundays are bigger, community sport and others. So I understand people will say, oh, well, traditionally, and sorry, by the way, obviously you can with Foxtel KO.
Yeah, sure.
But for free-to-air, no. And, you know, I got to get the tradition, but we've got the same amount of free-to-air games in the next deal as we have in the current one.
The Matildas have lost their match against Canada 2-1 in Sydney overnight. Meantime, Manchester City has kicked off its European Champions League campaign in ideal fashion, smashing Sevilla 4-0. Erling Haaland at it again with another double.
Haaland wanted it back again. Still Foden, might come back to Haaland, inevitable.
Audio there thanks to Stan, but the news wasn't so good for fellow EPL club Chelsea, beaten 1-0 by Dinamo Zagreb, while Ange Postecoglou's Celtic went down 3-0 to Real Madrid. Australian captain Aaron Finch has failed again, making only 5 as the Aussies held on to beat New Zealand by 2 wickets in Cairns. And Ayla Tomljanovic is out of the US Open after being beaten in straight sets by Ons Jabeur. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the traffic.
First National Real Estate. Their team of real estate experts will put you first.
At Redwood Park, Milne Road is closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue due to a serious accident. Crash investigators on scene. At McGill, urgent gasworks there, McGill Road near Gladstone Avenue. While at Wavell, expect delays later in the morning around Greenhill Road and Coolwood Road for the show. Speeds out of 25. Busy right now, South Road at Mile End, and we've got a camera at Doothie Street at Malvern. 9 out of 10 people who are blind or vision impaired don't need to be. You can help the Fred Hollows Foundation restore sight for as little as $25. Go to hollows.org. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Peter Jackson Blinds and Awnings for stunning service and results. Adelaide Metro and Mount Barker. Search Peter Jackson Blinds.
Rain developing with a possible storm, a high of 19 today. Showers on Thursday and Friday, tops of 16, and an early shower or two for Saturday, 16. At the moment, 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 9 behind closed doors, not too far away. We were asking before the break whether any listeners live on the FIVEAA Peninsula and heard the explosions, they're apparently rattling windows and causing people distress. Suspicion there might be some weapons testing going on in the area, but residents none the wiser. John has called in. John, good morning. You heard these bangs?
Morning, Will. Morning, Dave. Yes, as a resident of Parham, they were pretty big.
particularly Monday.
How often do they happen, John?
Oh, look, it can vary. As a resident, we get a text message and an email 24 hours in advance, but generally they're about the place a couple of times a month, and it's very random.
So was this out of the ordinary? Did you get a warning this time?
Yes, yeah. So we always get a warning of when they're going to fire, but we don't know the extent of the bombs that they're firing. Like, they could be just small ones, like a small bang, or like the last, well, particularly Monday, they were big bangs. When you can see the splash in the water from, 700 a kilometre away, they're big.
Tell you what, you wouldn't want to be out there raking for blue swimmers when it happens.
Absolutely not.
Do you get a sense? So they're exploding in the water, John. Were they fired from some sort of artillery platform, or was it from a plane?
Yes.
Was there any sort of...
No, it's certainly not a plane. At the very end of Port Wakefield Road there, just before Port Wakefield, there's a firing range there. It's a proof range. You may have seen, heading up that way, you may have seen a cannon on the left-hand side, and there's a big sign that says experimental proof range. They have a facility in there, and obviously land rocket, like firing stuff, and they fire out into the Gulf there, and there's a prescribed area that is massive big pylons sort of at Parham. As you walk to the north, you can only go so far.
Yeah. What does the text say? Like, how much information do you get in the warning?
It just says, the text says firing will start at 8:30 a.m., an hour break for lunch or something, and then we'll continue, and firing will stop at 3:30 p.m.
Wow.
Or thereabouts.
So what's the most bangs you get in one day?
Generally, probably about 5 or 6, but again, it can vary. It can totally vary. But these ones, the last couple of days, or particularly Monday, I was there and seen them, and wow, they were big. When you can see the big splash in the water, that's big. Because normally you don't see, like, you'll hear them, you'll like hear the fire, a couple of seconds, and then you'll hear the bang when they hit the water, but you don't see the splash.
Yeah, right.
What an extraordinary thing to witness and be around. I imagine it'd drive you nuts if it's constant, but amazing insight, John. I'll tell you what, next time you're in Adelaide, pick yourselves up some seafood. We've got a $100 Samtas seafood voucher coming your way, which goes a long way at Samtas. Thanks for that bit of information, bit of an insight into the life on the FIVEAA Peninsula.
I love Port Parham.
Beautiful part, yeah.
I bought a great T-shirt many, many years ago at the Lower Light Hotel that says, "I caught crabs in Port Parham."
$100 Samtas Seafoods voucher for the best quality seafood and best prices. Samtas Seafoods open 7 days, factory direct on Richmond Road.
Have you ever done it? Have you ever gone crabbing there?
No.
Oh, it's excellent. So you just need an old pair of sneakers, your boardies, T-shirt probably if it's sunny, but you just go wandering out through the weed and you take a leaf rake and you drag it across the sand, and the blue swimming crabs, they hide under the sand, and when you tap them, there's this blast of sand, and then there's this crab with its nippers out just going, "What'd you do that for?" And you put the rake on it and it just automatically clips on, and you lift the rake over your shoulder. You get a baby bath. You've probably got a plastic baby bath at your house, Will.
Yeah.
You don't need to use it for another month. Maybe you could sneak in a crabbing trip before the baby's born. Just give it a rinse out before you wash the baby.
No one will be the wiser.
You get it. You bag out in record time.
I've got a A4 piece of paper that's about half full of flight cancellations this morning, and it's an issue right around the country.
Jetstar has 11 Boeing 787 Dreamliners in its fleet. Currently 4 are out of action due to those freak incidents, those things like bird strikes, the lightning strike, and a further 5th plane has been grounded since June. Now, the airline says one of those planes was due to come back online yesterday. The rest will gradually return. There are still around 180 passengers stuck in Bali unable to get home. Jetstar says the majority should be back home today. An extra 2 flights will arrive in Melbourne today. But these grounded planes are also impacting other travel destinations, places like Hawaii, Thailand and also Japan.
So let's go through what's happening in Adelaide. That report on Sunrise, Channel 7 this morning around the nation. But here's how it's manifesting in Adelaide. Denpasar to Adelaide at 6 o'clock this morning was canned. The Adelaide to Sydney flight at 6:25 was cancelled, as was the Adelaide to Gold Coast flight at 7:10. They were all cancelled. Here's what's to come. And interestingly, a lot of Rex flights that have been cancelled today. Whale at Adelaide, 8:50. That's not happening. The Port Lincoln to Adelaide, 9 o'clock. Not happening. Adelaide to Cooper Pedy at 9:50 is delayed. Whaler to Adelaide, delayed. That one at 12:55. Cooper Pedy to Adelaide, 3:05. That's delayed. Of course, these are probably as a result of one another. Then you go back to Jetstar. Adelaide to Sydney, 5:30 today. That's cancelled, as is the Sydney to Adelaide later, which you presume would be the same plane. It was scheduled to arrive at or leave at 10:10 tonight. That's been cancelled. Now, these are...
Has there been any explanation?
Well, so that report just saying that there was a host of mishaps, bird strike, lightning strike, one's out of action for reasons unknown. There's about 5 planes, it sounds like, that aren't able to fly at the moment, and they're just cancelling flights left, right and centre.
Very inconvenient.
Which I mean, like, look, I'm not going to pretend to be some sort of aeronautical expert, but I presume there's an accident rate that has always been with us. It just seems at the moment, for whatever reason, the byproduct is there are just huge numbers of flights that have been cancelled. Now, maybe there are fewer planes in operation or fewer people to get others that are in reserve up and ready to go. I'm not sure, but it feels unique to the situation that we currently find ourselves in at the moment. Speaking of unique situations...
Then to stand in the bar of a pub with no beer.
An alcohol deal has been struck with the Qatari government ahead of the World Cup in Qatar. Now, you may well be across the fact that Qataris aren't big alcohol consumers. Budweiser's reached a deal to sell beer there, but it's not going to be quite the experience you get at the Adelaide Oval, where you can go and have a beer in town and then turn up and go to a bar and pay more for a beer and then, you know, maybe have one at half-time and then have one over at the Cathedral Hotel after the game. Some of that will happen. So FIFA said Saturday that alcohol will be sold, and the wordings here is important, within the stadium perimeter prior to kick-off and after the final whistle.
So you can't get it during the game?
So inside the stadium, ticket holders will have access to non-alcoholic beers. At the FIFA Fan Festival, Budweiser will be available to purchase from 6:30 p.m. And it works out basic like this. There is beer available within the ground 3 hours before a game. The game starts, no beer available. The game ends, and an hour later, beer available at the ground again. I don't know why. That's the decision that's been struck. The people there knew in bidding for the World Cup they were going to have to make some allowances because this is part and parcel of this sporting event going on around the world. So this seems to be this bizarre compromise situation, but I can't for the life of me work out what the significance of the hour and a half, 2 hours of the game being entirely alcohol free.
Is there an upper limit on how many beers you can order before the whistle blows? You can always get 36 beers, thanks.
Just load up. Glenn and Elizabeth North's called in. Morning to you, Glenn.
Morning, guys. Traffic hassle, South Road at Ridlington, just as you go in the underpass before Torrens Road. 4-car pile-up, left lane, fires and police are there at the moment. All right, guys? Heading South Road on the triple in the underpass.
Glenn, that's great information, mate. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. That's terrific. At any time, you get traffic info, tell us, 8223 0000, and we'll let people know. You can text it through too if you're a passenger in a car. Automasters text line 044808 1395. We're going to check traffic behind closed doors and Anne Moran coming up in just a moment. Until your new BMW arrives, Adelaide BMW will help keep your current vehicle fueled. T's and C's apply.
Thanks, Will. At Ridleyton, multi-vehicle smash on the north-south motorways near Torrens Road as you're heading inbound. Avoid that if you can. Redwood Park, Milne Road is closed between Golden Grove Road and McEwen Avenue. It's due to a serious accident. Crash investigators on scene. While at McGill, we've got urgent gas works there. McGill Road near Gladstone Avenue. Busy right now, South Road at Mile End with a camera. Smart Road at Modbury. Order your C coffee on the OTR app and enjoy a freshly ground barista-made coffee. It's as easy as click and collect. OTR. Making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Patience pays off, especially if you've been holding out for a great deal on a new Volkswagen. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen is now receiving truckloads of new Volkswagens. Yes, they're coming. And they're available at amazing prices. Remember Mawson Lakes Volkswagen for servicing too, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Get a great deal on Volkswagen now. Don't dilly-dally, dawdle or delay. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. For over 50 years we have specialised in commercial and residential property management. But above all, we specialise in people, helping to make life easy for property investors and the tenants of their properties. Everyone is treated with integrity and respect. That's the Lynn Andrews way. For commercial and residential property management, we are here to help. Visit lynnandrews.com.au.
Have you got your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery yet?
Well, get into gear and get your tickets before midnight this Friday, and you could be one of 8 lucky winners driving away in a brand new Audi Q2.
Imagine being one of those 8 lucky winners picking up the keys to an Audi just for getting in early.
And look, it's a great car, slick, compact SUV. The Q2 has a retail value of over $52,000, and the Hospital Research Foundation has thrown in 12 months of rego to get you on the road sooner.
Just get your ticket in the drawers before midnight Friday, and those Audi keys could be yours.
Plus, your tickets stay in the drawer for tons of life-changing prizes and help support for our incredible healthcare workers.
Don't miss out. Get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au.
Hey Strikers fans, Jason Gillespie here. Forget footy season, it's time for SA to turn blue and get behind your mighty Adelaide Strikers. That's right, tickets to all WBBL and BBL matches are now on sale. And to welcome back the best fans in the league, we're excited to offer early bird pricing for a limited time across all matches. Don't delay, visit adelaidestrikers.com.au today for links to purchase, and we can't wait to see you back in blue this summer.
For over 38 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. You won't find a better range of cars covering the entire region from Gawler to the Barossa Valley and Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip or well worth the click.
9 News has the experience to break the news. Made in Adelaide for Adelaide. 9 News.
Nothing beats a road trip, so before you do the fun stuff, let RAA do the car stuff.
Breakfast on 5AA. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 to 9, lots of texts on the Automasters text line, lots of comments on the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live streams, thanks to RAA as well. We'll get to some more of those before 9 o'clock. Behind closed doors, not too far away, and the rain is on the way, up to 20 mils forecast today. We've been tracking it on its long journey to Adelaide. Annie on the text line says it started bucking down in Port Lincoln, and Pat says right now light rain in Peterborough.
Well, we've had a heck of a lot of feedback this morning about the story on page 3 of The Advertiser about Adelaide City Councillor Anne Moran's concerns about the timing of an interview piece with fellow councillor Aman Abraham Zadeh. We thought that we would talk to the woman herself, Anne Moran, to give her a chance to put her side. Anne, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Before we said a single word about you this morning, we were inundated with comments from listeners saying that they thought your remarks suggested, and I say this politely, but it's indicative of what they said, a degree of perhaps self-absorption. What would you say to that?
Well, I don't really know what to say about that. I have not complained about the article. I think Aman's last backstory is wonderfully informative and shows a very brave young man and a terrible life circumstance. I have no problem with the story at all. My problem was that we're in an election cycle now, and this story is quite an old story. He met his father in January, and that was a wonderful thing for him to share with us, and I enjoyed reading it.
But there's no, I wrote a story about it as well in The Australian on Saturday, and the whole story, my story and Lauren's story, both of them are about domestic violence, the death of his mum, trying to work through how to deal with the grief and the anger you'd feel towards your dad. There wasn't a single reference at all in the article to the council elections.
Well, I think the very timing of the story at the outset of the council election was what I was concerned about. As you said, it was a large, very interesting, very personal story of his personal struggles, and that was wonderful. But I think the timing of it, if it happened when it happened, it would have been appropriate. But to unleash such a large story at the beginning of an election, I think is not a good thing to do.
So, Anne, you think it's more likely that the timing was designed around boosting his campaign than it was around Father's Day and being quite a remarkable story about a relationship between a father and son?
I can understand the Father's Day bit, but yes, I think the advertiser has been very aggressively supporting Team Adelaide, as I think you can easily see by the articles. And to me, this just seemed like another extension of that. I'm running against a man for 2 of the seats in area councillor, and I don't think anybody could not see that this is certainly a good story for him, an interesting story, getting his name out there, and good on him, absolutely no. He has no control over the timing of these articles, so there's absolutely no criticism to him at all.
Can you see, Anne, why some people might be a bit troubled by you sort of obsessing so much about the local government aspect of it, given that it's a story about a bloke whose mum was like stabbed to death, and you're sort of suggesting that it's being used by his purported media backers as a vote-winning exercise?
Well, yes, I think it has. Yes, I think it's easy to see that if it stood alone, but there have been numerous anti-stories about the so-called opposition team, which there is no opposition faction. There's just a group of...
But no one's talking about that in the story.
No, they're not. But it is a big story about a person who's about to run a big council election. And I think the timing was insensitive.
We earlier, Anne, we played an extract from the Graham Corns conversations that he did with you,
yes,
which was great. That was what? That was half an hour or 40 minutes, maybe longer.
But that Graham Corns story was some years ago. What you choose to play now is lovely if you want to, but I didn't ask you to do that.
No, but I'm just thinking, like, Aman's never had a conversations with Cornsy. I mean, do we keep tally, and should he get one to even it up a bit, given that you had one?
Perhaps he should have, yes.
So
he should have.
Just to drill down on the allegation that there's somehow, this was a designed media event to try and benefit someone in the context of there being an election campaign. So when did the journos that wrote the story sit down with Armand, and how long did they hold on to it for?
Well, it said in the article that Armand went to see his father.
That's when he went. Now, I can understand
Yep.
potentially he might not have wanted to have that experience splashed all over the paper until he'd had some time to process it. So the period of time that they had carriage of the story was after speaking to him. So how long did they wait to plant the story for maximum political effect, as you allege?
Well, I don't know. I don't know when they spoke to him, but the political effect would be strong. It is a wonderful story.
But potentially they just sat down with him when he was ready to tell the story and ran it.
Well, I wonder why they sat down to him now.
Well, maybe it's just when he was ready to tell a very personal story.
It may well have been.
Can I just ask,
I'm not criticising Aman at all. I'm criticising the enormous story, 4-page story, the Australian weekend. It was an enormous story, and I think it's right for the... and the story in today's paper was very arch and a bit mean, and I explained myself very well. I have no problem with Aman. I have a problem with the advertiser. The advertiser's journalist, Mr. James, has already said that he is supporting Sandy Verschaw, and it's been very clear that he's not supporting the independents. And I think it appears to, not just myself, but some people, that this is just an extension of the advertiser picking sides in a very fraught election.
So using the brutal murder of a man's mum as a vote-winning exercise is the way you see it?
Well, I think it was a very sympathetic article, as it should be. The only complaint I've got is the timing of it. And that's the only complaint I have, the timing of it.
Anne Moran, Adelaide City Councillor, thank you very much for joining us this morning on 5AA.
It's time to go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
And when we get behind
1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Jade Robran.
And welcome along to Afternoons. It's great to have your company once again. And what did you get up to on the weekend? Did you have a fantastic Father's Day? What did you get your dad? Was it more than just socks? What's the half-life of uranium-238? How do they make wheelie bins? Today on the program, we'll be talking to our royal correspondent about the Queen. She may not be in the best of health. And we'll find out what the latest is with the Queen. Oh, and you're going to roll your eyes when I bring up the next thing, because everybody thinks the same way I do. Harry and Meghan have landed in the UK. Apparently Prince Charles offered them an olive branch and said, "Hey guys, come and stay with me." And they've done the big fat, "Nah, sorry, don't want that, stick it, Chuck." Can't imagine there'd be too many cheers for Harry and Meghan. More jeers, I'd say, for them touching down in the UK. And the hate and disgust in my voice comes through, doesn't it? I'm usually kind of a sponge cake and sprinkles kind of girl, but when I talk about them, I'm more your splinter under your fingernails and crushed glass on your dunny seat, really. It wouldn't surprise me if this was one of their very, very last trips to the UK, especially after those bombshell nasties they dropped in the UK media recently. Now I feel dirty. I feel like I need to soak in a nice warm bath of sulphuric acid just to wash off the yuck. I'd love to be a fly on the toilet wall after putting crushed glass on her seat just to hear her squeal.
We're out of time. Leon Biner is coming up. We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
Introducing Nissan Future Value Business Plus, a new fleet finance solution for small to medium businesses offering competitive weekly repayments, including the cost of scheduled servicing for the loan term. Available